Hello, good morning to you. You're watching Sewing Street and my name is Debbie Shaw and we're going to be here live for the next 4 hours. 2 of those hours I have a brand new guest to introduce you to as well. It's Jules. She'll be here in just a second. But as you've come with us nice and early in the morning at 8 o'clock, we've got an early bird special for you, which is a reduced price item for the duration we have the stock or for the rest of the day today. And look what we've got for you today. I love little organisers like this and I think they make really lovely gift ideas as well, because after all we're halfway through the year, got to start thinking about Christmas, haven't we? It's only £8.99 and that's including the bits and bobs. So you have actually a really lovely pair of scissors. They do have a bit of a guard on there. They've got like a filigree engraving on them, so they look quite vintage, but they're nice sharp pointy little scissors. Those sit in the little hole at the top here. There is a tape measure, plastic tape measure, always recommended because they don't stretch like a fabric one would do. And then there's a little reel of thread as well, and you've got your tomato pincushion, so that's going to bring you good luck apparently. And actually the reel of thread is a reel of thread, but it's the handle for the lid, and inside here you can keep maybe some notions, your bobbins, you could have your mint imperials or your skittle stash in there. And again, it's only £8.99 and it is embellished with sewing notion designs as well. So it's a pretty little thing, isn't it? But it's handy. You could use the edge of this, the outside, as a pincushion as well, because that's all wonderfully padded. So you're saving £3 off the usual. Now down here, look, it says £3.95 P&P all day. That puts this up to, I don't know, normal price really, doesn't it? But because we put all day, that means that if you come back to us later on and you buy a sewing machine, an overlocker, a dress form, a packet of needles, we're not going to charge you any extra for the postage. So get your postage out of the way now. Take advantage of the £3 saving, which is almost covering your postage anyway, and then sit back and relax and know that anything else you order, you're not going to, oh, you're busy for this already, you're not going to pay any extra postage. So with that, we're all up early this morning. Who do we have? Have we got Angie? Are we there, Angie? She was late on Saturday. She did arrive yesterday, but she's normally there first thing. Dawn, have we got Dawn? Morag? Is Morag there? Alan there? Pamela? Mary? The Bennetts? Hannah's here. Hannah is in my ear. And in fact, Joe is in my ear as well. I have very big ears. Hannah is producing the show and Joe is directing. And again, Jules is going to be coming up in just a second. Anyway, if you want to get in touch, because you're going to want to come and say hello to Jules, aren't you? So we've got a couple of ways. You can either email us, which is studio@sewingstreet.com. So your emails will come through to Hannah and she will pass them to me via wireless technology straight down my ear hole. Or you could go to the Facebook page. Now I've got that open on my phone at the moment, so I'll be able to pick those up live in the studio. So if you want to send pictures, ask questions and send any comments or just say hello this morning, then it would be lovely to hear from you. Now then, oh, Janet's at morning, Janet. Janet's at bright and early. Morning. So we could spend all day saying morning to everybody, couldn't we? And I think we should do that one day. Just lots of mornings. Right. What was I going to say next? Oh yeah. So in this show, Jules is going to be making a project from one of my books, and then in the 10 o'clock show, I don't know what to do. Got some calico. I'll show you that in a second actually, because it's really nice pre-washed calico. And I've got a fancy schmancy sewing machine, but I don't know what to do. And in fact, in the 11 o'clock show, I don't know what to do. So if you want to challenge me, you can either drop me an email or put a message on Facebook. What shall I sew? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to sew. What shall I sew? What shall I do? So come and let me know. studio@sewingstreet.com, or of course on the Facebook page as well. Bear in mind, I don't have all my tools here, so nothing too I can't make a quilt in an hour, not out of a piece of calico anyway. So shall I show you that actually? This is no ordinary calico. This is Sewing Street calico. By that I mean that it's pre-washed. Calico is normally one of those fabrics that's a little bit more affordable, so you can make toiles with it, and you know, the kind of throwaway type of things. But this is pre-washed and pre-shrunk, and it's soft. So you could actually make a shirt, you can make aprons, it's great for bag lining. You can make toiles if you like. Look at your price, it's only £2.49 for half a metre. It's 140 centimetres wide. It could be the backing of a quilt, or it could be a quilt. I was saying yesterday with it actually, if you're a fabric manipulator, then you've got all of your folded bits and creases, and it's a lovely, it's like a linen kind of replacement, if you like, without the expense and the creasing. But it makes up beautiful quilts. You can smock with it. Oh, that smock cushion cover out of this would look amazing. But it's a hard wearing, durable fabric. The little flecks in there are actually from the cotton seed pod, so it's all unbleached, it's all very natural. You can colour it if you wanted to. You can use fabric dyes, it's 100% cotton, but it's incredibly useful. But I like to mix calicos with old lace and ribbons and abalone buttons and things like that, and it gives it a really lovely vintage kind of feel. It's quite rustic, it's very, very natural, but it's really soft. Now this would normally be on the first page on the website, but it's not there. It is there. So you can either search through all of the items and look for calico, or you can put that code in. So SXLJ57. So you can order on the website. If you go there now, it'll take you to the Jewellery Maker website, and there we are, we're still sharing. Oh, our new website is going to be amazing. It may even going posh again. It may even have photos of our new studio, which won't be very long now. We've got the gym, we've got the disco, we've got the champagne bar, we have the stables. Oh, the plant. They're working on the planetarium at the moment. That's what the hold-up was. Yeah, we weren't going to have one, but Hannah says she's not going to come to work unless she's got a planetarium. So we're having a planetarium now. But yes, when you go onto the website, you'll see the show live, and then as you look underneath, you see all the products that we have for you in the shows. But then you can go into categories and search through different fabrics and sewing machines and all kinds of malarkey there as well. Or you can order on the phone lines. So that's 0800 001 4433. Right, so that's that. I'll just show you how wide this is. It's one of those, it's just an incredible deal. Worth stocking up on. That's £2.49. You'd pay more than that for a fat quarter, wouldn't you? So you've got great value. Really busy for that one. If you've already bought your early bird, remember you're not paying any extra postage for it. Oh, we've got messages. We love it. Now I'm a bit, I don't know what Facebook are doing, but it doesn't kind of refresh. So I have to come out of it and go back in. So we've got Pat. Morning, Pat. Oh, Angie's there. I know Angie will be there. Dawn's here. Angie says, good morning to Debbie and the Sewing Street team from a sunny Great Yarmouth. It was dark when I left this morning. Janet said the calico would be beautiful for red work embroidery. Funny that, we've got Sashiko embroidery coming up at 11 o'clock. And there's lots of embroidery thread over there. My mind's spinning now. Morning, Dawn. Lovely to see you on bright and cheerful Monday. Thanks for a wonderful start to the week. Double dare you to make a machine pedal wedge to stop it slipping into the next room. See, if you double dare me, I'm going to have to do it, aren't I? Double dare you. Okay, I've been challenged to do a container slash box. I think it's container slash box without a lid to show how to do corners. Oh, easy. We'll do that at 9 o'clock if you like. That was from Elaine. Yeah, we'll do that one. Okay, keep them coming in. It won't take me long to do a box. Have I got some foam? I've got a bit of foam, yes. Right, let's get on. We need to get some sewing done. Okay, this is the book that Jules is going to be making one of the projects from. This book is, I wrote it for beginner sewers. So it goes right back to basics with practically what is a stitch. And if you've never used a sewing machine before, so if you know somebody that's learning to sew, or you're teaching somebody how to sew, this is who I've written the book for. So it'll take you through techniques to start with, and the tools that you need, not necessarily tools that you want. There is a difference. So a little bit about the book. We've got some tips in here as well. And then the essential things that you need. So that's my sewing room. So I just thought I'd give you a quick look around. That's actually part of my sewing room, full of animals. A little bit about the sewing machines in there, a talk around your sewing machines. The feet that you're going to use. So there are hundreds of different types of feet out there, but these are the ones that I recommend that you buy if you're new. A bit about needles, fabrics. So, and then we go into different waddings, interfacing, how to make your own templates. Storage is really important, keep you organised. But then there are techniques. So techniques like finishing seams and cutting corners, and then projects using the techniques that you've learned. So this is making your own template, and it's snipping into corners and a hand ladder stitch. There's a whole section on zips, and then there is a cushion cover using zips. There's piping. There's a cushion cover using the zips and the piping. So you've actually got 10 projects in there, but they're all using, so you've got free motion embroidery. That's my old dog. That's Alfie. And then, so there's a bit about shirring elastic, then a project, there's a bit about applique, and that's on the project. So you're using the techniques that you've learnt to make the projects that are in here. So I've got the toaster cover here actually, which is a trapunto, but again you're learning stippling and the trapunto design and bias binding, and it's bagging out because it's got a lining in it as well. So there you go. So lots of different projects, how to put a purse frame in, how to design your purse to fit your purse frame. So that's Sewing Room Secrets. That's £7.99. Hold the line, hold the line. That's a £9.99 book for £7.99. Don't tell the author about that one. This is the tablet case that Jules is going to make. It is no ordinary tablet case because it has, a strong fastening. It's got a zip pocket in there as well, so it's nice for storage. We've got 3 colour options. So we have Summer Days Sky. So this has the dandelion clocks on the navy. Don't they go well together? And then the sky blue. That's like, oh no, it's not. I thought it was the canvas for a minute. That's a nice sturdy fabric. So there you go. So you have the 2 of those. There's a metre in total, half a metre of each pattern, and your millwood magnetic snap included. You will need to find a zip. You need your own zip for those. We do have some actually on the show, but they're open-ended. But you can still use them. It's fine. This is the one that Jules is going to use. So you have half a metre of butterflies. And you will have half a metre of the teal. It's like a petrol blue, that one. So both of those, a metre in total, and your magnetic snap. And then the third option is this one. So more Summer Days with the pink this time as the lining, and again, your magnetic snap, and that's what you're going to look like. So that's £11.99 is your price there. It's good value, isn't it? Okay, so keep your suggestions coming in for what we're going to do later on. Be nice if you could stay with us all morning. We've got quite a few coming through already. Was that Julie or Judith? Judy said, good morning, lovely to have you company. And you, Judy. Good day for sewing today, isn't it? Every day is a good day for sewing. Christine, hi Christine. She says, good morning. Could Debbie please show how to do different types of pleats and how to gather a large piece of fabric without breaking the cotton? We could do that. We can do that at 9 o'clock as well. Hannah, are you writing these down? Because I won't remember. I'll be going into 9 o'clock thinking, oh, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? Do you mind? Do you mind? Not that she's got nothing else to do or anything like that. So I could write it down myself, actually. She's going to start writing things down. Thank you very much. Now, if you'd like to get in touch, again, we'd be lovely to hear from you. If you do have any suggestions, or if you just want to come and say hello, that would be very nice. If you'd like to order anything, however, let's have a listen to Vixen. She's going to explain how.
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the Watch Live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer, and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying one postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
There you go, welcome back again, and welcome to Jules.
Hello.
It's nice
Good
to see
morning.
you. Been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
So
But things in between.
yeah, Jules came over to us right at the beginning, wasn't it, in February, and,
Yeah.
and then strange things started to happen around the world,
Bit
and,
odd.
and all of our new designers were put back a little bit. So it's nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about you, though. How long you been sewing? What do you do?
Yeah, I've been sewing for it seems like forever. Well, at my age, it probably is forever. But I got into sewing with my grandma when I was about 10 or 11. We used to go and she used to be babysitting me, my sister and my brother. And so, yeah, I got into sewing with her, started making little toys. And then as a teenager, wanted some new fashion. So made some dresses and stuff. So throughout my life, really, I've done bits and bobs of sewing, picked it up, put it down. You know, when you got married, you did the houseware. Children's wear, cross-stitch, knitting, all that kind of stuff. But at the minute, I'm probably concentrating more on quilting and bag making, although, you know, never say never.
Did you dressmaking as well?
Yeah, a little bit, perhaps unconventional, but go your own way. But yeah, I've made clothes in the past, and I've made recently some trousers for my daughter. Actually, one of the fabrics that's coming up, I'll point it out because I made something.
Okay.
So that was quite nice. So yeah, dip in and out really, but you're always doing something, aren't you? When you've got a sewing machine, it's never too far away.
Yeah, even if you're not sewing for yourself, you get requests.
Yeah,
and there's always
definitely
repairs, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot buy curtains. I can't go into a shop and buy a pair of curtains because I know that I can make them for less. That's my mother talking to me in my ear. You don't buy it if you can make it for less.
Yeah, yeah, it's true though, isn't it? And I remember my grandma putting zips in for people. And she was like, oh, why am I putting a zip in for somebody? You know, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a challenge maybe if you start, but eventually you get there, don't you? So
yeah. I found it it was quite an awakening when I started sewing professionally. I thought everybody could sew. You assume that everybody's brought it the same, and you learn how to cook and you learn how to sew. And there's so many people that they kind of miss that.
Yeah.
And want to. And I mean, there's so many places now that you can actually start as well, which is amazing.
And I think obviously we've had a period of where we've had a bit more relaxation time maybe, and there are a lot of people taking up a lot of new Sewing Street people as well. Like I've looked on the Facebook and everything. And that's really lovely. You know, you just want to share everything with everybody, don't you? So that's really nice, yeah.
What are you going to demo in this hour?
So we're going to do the tablet case, which is here. This is the one I made earlier. But this time we're going to do it in the teal and butterfly fabric. So the first thing I want to show you is I've pretty much pattern matched it here. And you might, if you've been watching the Sewing Bee, you might have heard liking to pattern match everything. So I think sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. You've got to get your head around it. So I'd like to just show you that to start off with.
Yeah.
And then, whiz along and make it, hopefully.
All right.
All righty. So in your book, lovely to have the author to my left. Hopefully we'll
I could have made it myself, but I have people to do it for me.
People, what do? So you really lay it out as to what shapes and sizes of pieces of material that you need. So that's really lovely. You've got all of that in the instructions, as you say, with these tools and everything. And I think if you're wanting to try, sorry, excuse the clips and the pieces of
No, it keeps you organised. That's fine. In
Try
fact,
to be organised.
That's quite a tip, actually, isn't it? If you're cutting things out and then coming back to it later.
Yeah,
label
because
them.
you will find that on this project, there's quite a few 11 by 7.5. That seems quite a popular size. So I just wanted to keep myself straight, really.
Right.
But what I've done is cut out the main pieces just so that I can explain to you about the pattern matching. So if I take, this is the top piece, which will go all the way around. And when you first put it together, you think, oh, I'm going wrong. I've got it upside down.
Yeah.
But what you need to remember is that that flap is going that away. So you want it facing so that you can see up the fabric. So that's what I've done with this piece here. And then if you want this piece, which is your bottom flap with the zip, to match up to it, you kind of have to calculate where you're going to have that repeat. And I worked it out, it's about 3 inches up from the bottom. So if you then open up your fabric, find out where that 3 inches matches on. So you take your main fabric, match your butterflies over, and then calculate where that repeat's going to be. And it also keeps you the correct way round as well. So here's my repeat. I'm looking at this butterfly here to this one here. If you lay it on over the top, that's my 3 inches, and then you can cut out the piece that's on the flap.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you want to, like particularly with this one, this is a big repeat, you might want to jiggle around on your fabric a little bit, but you will get it out of your 1/2 metre, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
And then obviously this one's a smaller repeat, so it's a little bit more room to manoeuvre. So that was just to explain how you do that.
Lovely.
The next thing, obviously you've got your wadding. I used for this, I used the premium cotton wadding that you've got. It's quite bouncy, but it's non-stick. So in order to back the wadding onto the material, you'll need your 505 spray.
Right.
First of all, we're going to cut out, once we've done all of our pieces, we're going to cut out this curve. So in your book, it explains how you can make templates. So I did a little template. This area here is going to be an 11-inch circle. I did a quarter of it. It just makes it a little bit easier to do that quarter. So you now need to imagine that you're going to be folding that over. And if I did it that way, I'd be wrong. So we're going to be doing it this way. So fold it over. My butterflies are all flying upwards like they are on the main lining piece. So these are the corners that I'm going to cut around. I like to fold the material in half so that you're going to get each corner correctly positioned. And then what you want to do is lay on your template. Very elegant template there, I feel. Make sure everything's lined up. We'll find a rotary cutter in a second. Line it all up. And my rotary cutter downstairs, there it is. And you want to cut around. Now you can mark it if you want to and cut it with a pair of scissors if you feel happier. Oops. Perhaps that's what I should have done. Cutting live on TV, woo!
The counter's actually a bit high for cutting with a rotary cutter, I find.
Thank you.
That's my
Thank you for being
excuse when
kind.
things go wrong.
Right, okay, well that would normally be a nice smooth curve at home. So there we go. It will be all right. Once we've sewn it, it'll be absolutely
You've got a
perfect.
perfect curve.
And I just marked my top edge there. Again, just to keep me straight. So next thing is going to be, we will use some spray. Are we okay to use the spray in the...
We are well ventilated. Well,
Well,
we're in the garage. We just open the
ventilate.
doors.
So, not doing it on your cutting mat because that would be a no-no. 505 spray.
Do you know,
Quick whiz.
these are the things that when I learned to sew, there was nothing like that around. Rotary cutters were unheard of, but I wouldn't be without them now.
No.
They use 505 for practically every project.
Yeah. And it's very sticky, but it's also repositionable because I'm making a meal out of that. There we go. So that's that one. And then we'll do the other one while we've got
You could quilt that actually, couldn't you?
You could.
Particularly when you're using the
flowery one.
This one.
Yeah.
And then the wadding, because it's really deep. So you get some really nice stitches sinking into it.
And you can sort of do hand quilting if you want to just
that'd
pop
be
the
nice,
butterflies or whatever. Yeah, it'd be really nice.
So this is the wadding. For quilting tablecloths, Matt's Tico's oven gloves, clothing and accessories. Clothing?
Clothing and accessories.
Would you use it? Clothing?
I think I'd be a bit warm. I'm of a certain vintage. I don't think we want that.
Oh, been there, done that. I personally, if I'm making a quilt that's going to be used as a lap quilt or a baby quilt or a bed quilt, I wouldn't use polyester myself. I'd use either a mixture or a natural. But the craft wadding is really deep. So if it's a wall hanging, if it's a table runner, if it's a bag, if it's something that you really want that luxurious feel, then that's when I'd use a polyester. And of course, it's an awful lot more affordable than the natural fibres as well, the quilting waddings. So it's worth having some of that in your stash.
So next thing we're going to do is to fit magnetic snaps. Now this is quite a strong magnetic snap.
Isn't it? Yeah, what is that?
And you've got two parts to your snaps. You've got a top and a bottom, and then you've got two backings to your snaps. So on the 11 by 7.5 piece, we're going to put the thicker part, and then when we go over the top with the lining, we're going to put the thinner part. Okay, so if you've never used one of these before, it's very simple, straightforward. What I'll do is mark the centre, that good old-fashioned way.
If you're concerned about magnets and tablets, I don't, I've never had an issue, but you could use a bit of Velcro instead, couldn't you?
You could.
Hook and loop.
Hook and loop, yeah. Although if you're using hook and loop, I'd use the sew-in rather than the glue-in.
Yeah.
Because it just stays a bit more secure when you're sewing it yourself. So, as per instructions, sorry, I've got them here just to keep it straight, 4 inches down from the top. So if you measure your 4 inches using any old ruler that you like, this is really nice because it's nice and compact. So 4 inches down and put a little dot. So I've gone from the centre 4 inches down. Then take your secure fastening for the back and lost my dot inside my butterflies.
She's lost
Right,
her dot
I've lost
now.
my dot now. Then using that as your guide, those two pieces as your guide, just make some little marks. It's fine because this is a friction pen, so it irons off, but you won't see it anyway because you're going to put the snap over the top. Then you need to take a sharp pair of scissors.
Why not?
Don't tell anybody because they're sharp. But just be really careful. Just do like literally a quick snip. One, like almost a thread, you know? You don't want to be lopping in there with your scissors. Because all you're going to do is push the prongs through. Hopefully that's got it. So line it up, push your prongs through to the back. She said, there we go, look. And then we want the other one. And this is really useful to know how to do these things because you use it on all sorts of stuff, don't you?
And the fastenings don't generally come with instructions, do
No.
they?
And it doesn't matter, that's gone a bit squiff around. It doesn't matter at all because you're going to put your locking piece on the back, thread it through, and then you can use your fingers, just push it down. It's not hard to do it. So that's the bottom piece done. And now we're going to do the top. So the top goes onto the lining piece, your curved edge, because remember everything's going to come back and over. So on this, again, do the same sort of thing. It's a darker fabric, but it's fine. And this time we want the middle. And then we're going to come 1.5 inches down from the top. She consults notes.
That's fine. That's what they're for. Morning, Angela. Angela says, can you sew something for flip-flops? Ooh, a little drawstring bag, I'm thinking, for your flip-flops, maybe with a French seam. Morning, says Morag. Looking forward to a great morning. Hi, Nova. She said, morning, Debbie. Loving the show again. Only one more sleep until my dressmaker course starts. Beyond excited and spurred on by watching all of the lovely makes on Sewing Street. Morning, Jan. Jan says, morning, Debbie. Can you demonstrate how to make a square lunch bag with a zip at the top in case I ever get back to work? I'm sure you can have lunch before you go back to work, though.
That dreaded W word, isn't it?
So I'm just checking you're all there, and I've got all of your comments, and I haven't missed anybody. No, I think we're up to date on Facebook anyway.
Right. So whilst you were doing that, just put the other one in. And again.
See, these weren't around when I was younger either. It was always Preston.
Yes.
Hand sewn on. Never looked neat, Preston.
No, never could do that.
No.
But anywho, there we go. So that's top and bottom. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fit the zip. Alrighty, so going downstairs again. Here's my next set of stuff. And this
You're
time...
very organised.
For once in my life.
So much more than me, who turns up saying, what shall I do? What shall I do today?
Oh, life's an adventure. So I've got you have 3 other pieces of lining which are in the teal colour. So you'll take one of them, and I've done some marking up already.
You'll have a lot of fabric left over, won't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you reckon you can make 2 out of it?
If you did it the reverse, I think you could. You'd have to be prepared to piece maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you could. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or make a smaller version for a phone holder.
Yeah. Or make some just fold over purses if you've not got any more snaps or whatever. Yeah, it's really pretty fabric. You wouldn't want to just not use it. So on here, we're marking up to make a zip pocket. So we're going to push it through the lining. And this is really useful on handbags and stuff. So the first thing you do is you would find your centre again. Then you're going to mark down from the top. And you're going to mark down, how long? It's in the instructions. 1.5 inches from the top. Then we draw a box. So I've used tailor's chalk here because the friction pen was just, I didn't have anything quite light enough, so I've used tailor's chalk. So you'll just want to mark 4 inches that away and 4 inches that away. So if you have got a small ruler, you can still do it. You don't have to have an 8-inch and above ruler. I've come down about 1/2 inch, marked the line again, made it into a square, and then I've cut it in between because that's the line that you're going to cut on.
Right.
So the way this will work is that you will sew around the box. You've made like a little Y triangle at the end. Sew around all around the top of the box, the outer of the box. You'll cut down the middle and then fold everything through and then put your zip in. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the machine. So talk amongst yourselves.
Which you've never used before.
Never stood up to sew for. It'd be lovely. So that's the wrong piece anyway. So we will do it on this piece because that's the right piece. So you need to take your, this is going to be your pocket. So if you want to, sorry.
There you go.
We don't want to get too. So that's going to be your pocket here. So I'm doing the lining bit inside and then pulling it through afterwards. So what we'll want to do is we want to sew these two.
That's quite nice as well. You know, you've rolled back part of the lining, so it makes like a nice pink border around there as well. That's
well,
nice
it just gives you a little pop of the colour because it's really pretty colour, isn't it, on there? So you want to fit the. I'm going right sides together. I am going right sides together. Sorry.
I could help out. I wrote the instructions.
Don't feel obliged. Right, I'll use some pins, and I'm going to use this. I saw this today. That's lovely with these very dangerous quilting pins. Don't know if you've stabbed yourself with those.
Several times. But I like a long pin myself.
Yes.
Because I can see them. If I drop one on the floor, I can see where it is before I stand on it.
Or get your husband coming on going, did you know there's a pin on the floor? Thank you, darling, for finding it for me. Right, okay, so we're going to sew around the boxes. Let me just make sure I'm in the right alignment. Right, okay, here we go. Here we go, live sewing, TV. Oof. Oh, going backwards. Oh, does it do an automatic back?
I think you're on. Yeah, I think you're on the automatic one.
Whoa.
Very clever machines these.
Yes.
This is the LNA550. It's got 50 stitches on there. It's our most affordable machine, and it is a lovely little compact, quiet, reliable machine. Comes with a 2-year warranty as well. Have a look on the website for machines. We've got a few. I've got the Juki coming up in the next hour. So one extreme to the other. But we only have the best, don't you know?
And it's got a needle down.
Yes.
Just discovered.
There's things, because that must a lot to recommend a particular sewing machine for somebody, which I don't like to do because it depends on budget and all kinds of things. But that's one of the things I'd always advise to look out for, the choice of having the needle up or down. If for no other reason, that when the machine stops, it stops with the needle in the right position so the tension's not engaged. So you can pull the thread out easier. And it's only a little thing, but it matters. You want to go for thread snips for your next machine, you were saying, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
The Juki's got one. The Juki's got one that you can operate with your feet. And you can program it to automatically snip the thread without even telling it.
As she shows off. Haven't got one. Maybe I could borrow one. Ooh, I don't think so. It gets above your station, lady. Right, so we're going to... Now, you can either snip with scissors or you can snip with a seam ripper. It just depends on how you feel about stuff. So you can use either or. No, I'm on TV. We'll do this instead. So what you want to do now is cut along the centre line and your Y's.
Right.
So if we start in the middle, actually fold it up, start in the middle.
So that's all 3 layers.
Yeah. Oops. Oh, maybe. I'll start
You could use it as a clutch bag, actually, couldn't it? It doesn't have to be for a traveller.
Yeah. It's such pretty fabric, you could.
You'd put a button on the front of it, decorate it up a little bit, maybe put some piping around. You could put piping around the flap, couldn't you?
You could. You could do all sorts. You could put, you were saying that you like lace and ribbon.
Yeah.
You could put a ribbon handle, or you could put lace around it just to zhuzh it up, as they say. Do all sorts of stuff. So I'm just cutting through to the Y at the end. Just make sure you don't cut through to your seam that you've sewn that you've made.
Ruth's just put a washing out. She's a bit late this morning. We were waiting for you, Ruth. Didn't we say this morning? Where's Ruth? She's not here yet. I thought, I bet she's putting a washing out. And I was right, you see. She says, sorry I'm a bit late, just putting the washing out. I'm from sunny Durham. She's looking forward to the shows.
It's a blowing day today then, maybe. Righty-ho. So, now we're going to turn the whole thing through. Oops, stuck together. We turn it through. Kind of a bit like a letterbox.
I always call it a letterbox.
Yeah.
I think it's what's it called? There is can't remember.
It's your book, darling.
I think I'll call it a letterbox.
It's a letterbox.
In the book.
So what you want to do now is press that flat all the way around.
Just want to fight back a little bit when you've got a thick wadding.
Yeah.
But persevere. Take no nonsense.
I'm going to use
said wadding.
my favourite. I love this. Have you never used? Oh,
yeah, no, I love
that.
them. It's nice to see you using it
because it just so it's a seam press, and I just love it. It's just because I'm terrible with irons. If there's a wadding, I'll melt it. And I think because this is quite small.
Oh, well, by the time your iron's heated up, you could have finished it, couldn't you?
And also, you at the end, you do get a little bit of a kind of puckering because you've gone through a Y. So it just gives you a bit of extra positionable welly, if you like.
Positionable welly.
Positionable welly.
That's kind of a roll and press. It's £15.99. No, it's specifically shaped with that roller bit at the end, so it's a barrel shape. So all of the pressure is centred right in the middle of the barrel. So you don't have to put, you don't need too much welly.
No.
It's the well is all in the roller, so to speak. But for little things like that, maybe you're doing a little bit of patchwork and you just want to press the seams open on small items.
Oh, hexes,
yeah.
brilliant. I do quite a bit of EPP, English paper piecing, and the hexes on there, you're not going to get your iron out for a 1/4 inch seam on an inch, whatever it might be. All right, so the zip. Ding, ding, ding. So now,
what you could do as well, if you are struggling to make the whole sit flat, you could always use some 505 spray at that point and
you could
stick the line into it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because that's not going to be turned through again, is it?
No. So this is our zip letterbox. The best way I found, I used to always struggle about with zips and baste them in.
Glue it.
Yeah, get a glue. So I'll just do it onto there so I don't get it on the... I don't know which way round you do it, but I tend to do it onto the zip and then push the fabric on it, just because you can position the fabric a little bit better over a zip than you can if you do it the other way around. Now this zip, as you say, is an open-ended zip. So if you imagine that what you're going to be doing is you're going to be sewing across that at some point, you might want to just consider where that is and make sure that you don't actually sew over the plastic bit at the end. The zip is too long for the envelope intentionally, so that you can cut it off.
I like to do that. I mean, you don't have to use an open-ended zip. It's just showing that you can if that's all you've got. But I don't like working over the stoppers at the end of the zip.
No.
I'd just rather cut them off and have them out of the way. Obviously, if you're dressmaking, then that's a different scenario.
The only thing to remember on this is that you're going to be sewing all the way around it.
You haven't got anything personal on those notes, have you? Because everyone's reading them at the moment.
If you can read my writing, well done. No, the reason I did this was... in your book, you do go in, as you said before, to lots of different techniques. And the technique isn't on the same page as your pattern, which I think is really useful because you can flick around forever to try and find it on a pattern, but you just go straight through it at the top and you know where you're looking. So it's really useful how it's organised. Not just saying.
So well briefed is Jules before the show. Only say nice things about the book, please.
I do want to come back at some point. The other thing to remember as well is if you're sewing over, so you'll be sewing there. If you sew there and your zip stopper's there,
Can't open
you
it,
can't
can
open
you?
your zip, can you? Ask me how I know. No. All right, so let's quickly swap over. So we're going to stitch the zip in now. So we'll quickly swap over to our zipper foot.
And just check your messages just in case. Don't
Thank
forget to
you.
come up with some ideas for me for the next couple of shows if you've got anything particularly.
Yeah,
Or
otherwise you'll be
Leanne's
twiddling.
messaged in. A tissue holder cover. That's a nice idea. Do a tissue holder cover.
Yeah. Or a kind of wet wipe cover.
Yes.
Because we're doing that a lot, aren't we, at the minute?
Could do that. Morning, Alan. He's making bags and summer hats. Oh, we'll recognise those bags, Alan. Made a doctor bag. Oh, yes. And a stethoscope pouch, including my French stylish handbag. Oh, lovely. Oh, you've got my chicken fabric as well. In fact, yeah, that's my chicken fabric.
I'm looking up because I want to see too. Sorry.
no,
not
you
really
get on,
taking
you're
any.
sewing.
Yeah, sorry. Back to your day job.
You're on the page anyway, aren't you? On the fans page.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have a look when I in the break. When I go and collapse.
It's not so bad here, is it?
No, do you know what? I think that's the thing about Sewing Street that I've found. Obviously, you have a look. I do lots of different sorts of crafting, and looking on different pages, this is the most friendly and unpretentious page that I've come across yet.
Oh.
So it's quite nice to to have all of that kind of support, really.
Yeah.
So I'm just opening the zip. Trying not to take the needle up, but you know, sometimes you have to. Because as we were saying, otherwise we can't go over there. I'll just take that pin out as well. Like having sewing mats, because you can stick your pins in it.
I made that sewing mat in one of the shows specifically because I move the machines around a lot when I'm talking. It makes the most awful screeching noise.
I noticed when we were sending in work to be done, my first project, my machine sounded awful because it was really loud and clunky. I thought, oh, I forgot to put my mat on it. Right, okay, so we've managed to get all the way around without doing too many crazy things.
So did you apply to the sewing quarters?
I did.
What was it, Search for a Star or something?
Yeah.
They did, just before they closed down, so nobody actually got anywhere with it.
I don't know whether I would have got any further if it had carried on with that. Fortuitous. All right, so there we go. We've letterboxed it in. I'll leave that slightly open, but what I'm going to do, and I forgot to bring my needle over, what you would do is just sew over that to keep it together. But I think because I've sewn it now, I think we're probably okay.
Okay.
Don't worry, I think it's okay. And then, I better. Which scissors can I use?
Oh, you can use anything.
Yeah.
There's one pair of white ones with paper scissors written on them, but
right.
I think you've got the good ones there.
Oh, I don't know. We're going to
Fine.
pay for it later.
I'll send you an invoice.
So we cut that little bit off. Okay. So zips in, poppers on. Next thing that we want to do is we're going to put the lining around the bottom. And this, when I first did this, I'm thinking, it's not going to turn through properly. It just looks completely the wrong way around. So if you feel like that when you're doing it, don't worry. Just trust to the Debbie. It will work. But I will read what I need to do. So we've got that. We're kind of sandwiching things now. The first thing that we're going to do is put the 2 lining pieces either side of the zipped panel, right sides together, and sew across the top. 2 lining pieces either side of the zipped panel, right sides together. In truth, because this is such good fabric, you can't tell which is the right side and which is the wrong side,
true.
to be fair.
So it doesn't really matter.
So it doesn't really matter. But what I would say is your patterned fabric now kind of sinks in a little bit because you've got wadding underneath it. So what's happened there is it's all kind of like gathered in, like you do when you've got a quilt. It kind of absorbs some of the wadding and it reduces in size. So you just need to be a little bit careful and make sure that you're still gathering everything together so that you're stitching through 4 pieces of fabric and the wadding, and just keep that all level.
So walking foot would probably help with all this.
It
these
would,
layers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But you know what? I did mine without a walking foot. So if you just take your time, because it's squishy down, it's sorry, some very descriptive words. And we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam throughout your project. You use a 1/4 inch seam, which if you are a quilter, it'll be natural. If you're a dressmaker, you'll just have to ease yourself in a little bit because you normally use 5/8. Sorry, I don't know what it is in new money. So we're just going to go across the top.
1.5 centimetres or a 6 millimetre, isn't it? 1/4 inch. I don't know. I'm in inches. I'm in inches, girl. I tend to actually use the edge of my foot.
Yes.
For most, so it's slightly over a 1/4 inch, but it doesn't really matter on projects like that.
I think it only really matters if you're properly lining stuff up.
Yeah.
Where I'm not properly lining it. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've been super accurate and making your points meet and all that kind of stuff, then it makes a difference.
So how far do you think we can get in 5 minutes?
Oh, my lordy lord. Well, what sorry. Sorry. So, well, all we're going to do is we're going to, if I talk you through it and then do it as quick as I can.
Okay.
So we're going to fold that back. So now you've got a pocket piece. You're going to sew across that. Then you're going to match the bottom, and you want then to sew through all of the pieces. Then we're going to add in the top, making sure that you've got your fastening going the right way. So this is the right side to right side. Oh, actually, no, we can just sew. You can just sew all of that actually, and then you'll turn it through. You turn it through in 2 stages. So you turn your lining through first, then you turn your patterned one through.
It just means that when your case is finished, you don't see any hand sewing. The hand sewing's on the inside. It took me ages to figure that one out, you know. So you've got a nice neat seam all the way around. But when you turn it through the first time, it looks inside out still, and you think you've done it completely wrong, but you haven't. You will need to sew the opening and close by hand, not through machine, by machine. But then when you turn it through again, it's going to be the right way round. Got it?
Yep. I'm going to do it wrong now because I've just done it quickly.
So straight across the bottom to start.
I'm doing straight across there. And you're catching, you just need to make sure you're catching them all, because otherwise you'll have an extra hole. But on here,
that's it. You will question yourself and you'll get it wrong probably. Not you, Jules,
well,
but the first time you do it at home.
Quite
because
probably.
It doesn't seem quite right, but it will work. Trust me on that one.
The seam ripper is my friend.
Yeah, I wear a few of those out, I have to say.
But we hate doing seam undoing kind of thing, doing the undoing. But it's a necessary evil.
While you're just sewing all of that together, shall I take you through the bundles again so you can have a look? So Jules is working with. I can show you one. I haven't got the other one. But the teal colour is the second half that you're going to get. So there is 1/2 metre of each of those. So that's how much you're going to get. This is so pretty. Such a lovely fabric. We've only got 14 of these left now. That's going really, really quickly. So that's that. Isn't it lovely? Look at all the colours in there. It's just so pretty. 100% cotton. I mean, to be honest, if you love the fabric, it doesn't come with the pattern in the book. So you could just order the fabric on its own and make something else out of it if you wanted to. So that does come with a teal as well, and you will have the magnetic snap there as well. That'd make a pretty dress, wouldn't it? But that's that's 1/2 metre, so be a mini. Then we
have a nice shirt, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Oh, this one. So there we go. I shan't open them all up, but again, you've got 2 1/2 metres of those. And again, lovely colours, so summery and bright, aren't they? So you've got the flowers and the dandelion clocks and then the gorgeous fuchsia pink. That's the bag that you can make if you're going to go for those, and your magnetic snap is included in there as well. And then finally, we've got the blues. Perfect colour matching. 1/2 metre each again, magnetic snap included as well. All 100% cotton, really lovely fabric, lovely quality of fabric. Down to single figures of these now as well, so they're going really, really quickly. So all the way around with the gap at the bottom.
Gap at the bottom. That good old.
You'll need wadding if you don't have any already. Jules is using the premium polyester craft wadding, so it's nice and thick and bouncy and easy to sew with. You could use H640, you could use ordinary wadding, but it will need something, otherwise you're just going to have a really floppy bag. So if you don't have anything, that's ideal for it.
Right, really awful sewing. Do not look. Sorry, I shouldn't talk so much. That's the thing.
That's what we do, though. So it'd be a very silent day if we weren't talking, but it does. Yeah.
Right. So
you
here we
get
go.
Distracted. So this is where it looks odd, doesn't it?
Yes, because you do that and you go, oh,
yeah,
wrong. He's wrong. So what you do now is, sorry, don't look at the white sewing. You'll whip stitch that, and then you'll do that. And that's the big reveal.
And that's when the penny drops. It
Yes.
makes sense as to why it was like that.
But it actually makes a beautiful padded surface. Sorry. Imagine that I've properly, done the corners and everything.
It's it gives it a really luxurious feel, doesn't it, with that wadding? If you're making that as a gift, I think someone's going to think you spent a fortune.
And then what you would do is, which will make it line up better, is you'll top stitch all the way around it, around the curve. You won't go obviously around that bit, but if you cut your corners properly as per instructions in the book, you won't end up with a rounded corner where you don't want it. And if you clip your curves, you won't end up with a straight curve where you don't want it, sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry it took me long.
That's all right. No, it's nice to watch in real time something's being made. Okay, now then, if you want to order it, so 0800 001 4433. If you ordered on the phone lines, if you wanted to go to the website, it's sewingstreet.com. Let me give you a quick reminder of said book as well. This one, it's machine sewing, so it's a book for a beginner sewer. So if you're teaching someone, if you're learning how to sew, if you haven't sewn for donkey's years, things have changed so much with fabrics and different techniques and different machines as well. So it'll take you through all of the techniques that I think you're going to find useful to start with as a sewer. So all the way through from the tools that you need, not the ones that you want, sewing machines, explaining a little bit about those, storage, taking care of your machine, a little bit of maintenance, different types of feet, different types of fabric, and then on to techniques. Now the techniques that I'm teaching you in here will then go through to 10 projects. So there's very simple projects like the little heart pincushion, all the way through to a trapunto toaster cover. You can enlarge that and make it into a sewing machine dust cover. But all of the projects are using the different types of seams and the techniques, the cutting, zip insertions, piping and things like that. So it should take you from zero to hero as far as your sewing is concerned, even doing a little bit of free motion embroidery on a drawstring bag. So I'm hoping the techniques are going to be useful for you. I was mentioning earlier that a lot of these locks and fastenings don't actually come with instructions. So I've done a little bit on bag making in there as well. So that's a £9.99 book for £7.99. I don't know how that happened. But I have a word with those publishers. But no, take advantage. So we're going to see you back again at 10 o'clock.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm going to see you. I'll better have a look through what you're asking me to do in the next hour. I shall
Challenge
see you again.
Debbie.
I'll see you again in about 3 minutes' time.
See you later.
Hi there, my name's Alison Marion and I'm thrilled to be joining the Sewing Street family. I live in Staffordshire where I run a couple of sewing groups and I have a passion for vintage sewing machines and also applique. I've stitched in some form for as long as I can remember, but I absolutely love teaching and helping people stretch their skills and hopefully demystifying some of the techniques that can be quite daunting for beginners. So I'm looking forward to meeting the team and getting into the studio. See you soon.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines, and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you, or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
To seam ripper. My favourite piece of kit with the sewing is the seam ripper. Hello, I'm Janice from Birmingham. I specialise in dressmaking. I used to run a children's shop and I love making children's clothes. My mother encouraged me to sew from an early age. When we were young, we did dressmaking in school. My claim to fame was the sewing quarter, but I'm now making also jumpsuits for ladies and men of all shapes and sizes, and it seems to be going for the festivals around the country. See you on the show!
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the watch live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying one postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
Hello, I'm Kerry from Living in Loveliness and I'm delighted to be part of the Sewing Street team. I'm based in Wolverhampton and I absolutely love working with fabulous fabrics. In particular, I love working with fat quarters and showing you how to get the most from your scraps. I love bringing communities of sewists together and encouraging people to sew for greater causes. Most recently, we have been sewing for our NHS and key workers. I look forward to bringing you hints, tips and techniques. I'll see you soon.
Would you like to take part in our weekly competition? If you do, then all you have to do is head to the Sewing Street fan page group on Facebook. Post your picture of your make. Myself, Debbie Shaw and John Cole Morgan love looking at all of your makes every week. We pick our favourite and announce the winner every Friday live on the show. Happy sewing and good luck.
Hello, my name's Fiona Hesford and I'm founder of Sew Girl. I'm based down in Worthing on the south coast of England. And I've got a range of sewing patterns which I've developed over the last few years, which are projects for loose-fitting clothing, everyday, simple garments, things that I really love to wear myself. And I'm going to be bringing you them to Sewing Street over the next few months. So I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Hi, I'm Rosie Wells.
My name's Poppy and I'm a nutritional therapist.
Hi, I'm Ruth Lynette and I can't wait to join you all on the brand new Gemporia Lifestyle channel.
If you're a fan of primal living, you're going to adore what's around the corner.
What is lifestyle? Lifestyle is healthy habits.
Feeling good, it's about looking great.
Making sure that we're taking good care of ourselves inside.
And it's about the life that you lead and the home that you live in.
All of this is why I'm so excited.
We've got the most wonderful team.
Homeware deals and primal deals under one roof on one channel.
I can't wait to share this brand new channel with you. So we'll see you soon on Gemporia Lifestyle.
Gemporia Lifestyle, coming soon to Freeview Channel 74 and gemporia.com.
Hello, I'm Kerry from Living in Loveliness and I'm delighted to be part of the Sewing Street team. I'm based in Wolverhampton and I absolutely love working with fabulous fabrics. In particular, I love working with fat quarters and showing you how to get the most from your scraps. I love bringing communities of sewists together and encouraging people to sew for greater causes. Most recently, we have been sewing for our NHS and key workers. I look forward to bringing you hints, tips and techniques. I'll see you soon.
Would you like to take part in our weekly competition? If you do, then all you have to do is head to the Sewing Street fan page group on Facebook. Post your picture of your make. Myself, Debbie Shaw and John Cole Morgan love looking at all of your makes every week. We pick our favourite and announce the winner every Friday live on the show. Happy sewing and good luck.
Hello, my name's Fiona Hesford and I'm founder of Sew Girl. I'm based down in Worthing on the south coast of England. And I've got a range of sewing patterns which I've developed over the last few years, which are projects for loose-fitting clothing, everyday, simple garments, things that I really love to wear myself. And I'm going to be bringing you them to Sewing Street over the next few months. So I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Hi there, my name's Alison Marion and I'm thrilled to be joining the Sewing Street family. I live in Staffordshire where I run a couple of sewing groups and I have a passion for vintage sewing machines and also applique. I've stitched in some form for as long as I can remember, but I absolutely love teaching and helping people stretch their skills and hopefully demystifying some of the techniques that can be quite daunting for beginners. So I'm looking forward to meeting the team and getting into the studio. See you soon.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday. Hello, welcome back again. Right, we're all organised for the next show. We have lots of embroidery bits and bobs. I've got my fancy new sewing machine, new to me anyhow, and we have the pre-washed calico. Now we had hundreds of these, literally, and hundreds have already sold out. It's calico but with a difference. Calico is normally one of those cheap fabrics that we use to make toiles with, that we use on and areas that you're not going to see too much of maybe. But this is a calico that you could actually wear. So it's pre-washed, it's pre-shrunk, but it's got a very tight, fine weave. So it's very soft. Sold over 500 of these this morning already. And it's only £2.49 for half a metre. It's 140 wide. So got a nice wide width, but if you just wanted affordable backing for a tablecloth, for a table runner, for placemats, for a quilt, if you want a lining for bags, if you do want to make a toile, you've still got a really affordable price at £2.49. And it does come joined up. So if you're making a toile, you're probably going to need more than half a metre. So if you ordered 2 units, you'll have a metre. If you ordered 4 units, you'll have 2 metres. And there is no limit. You can order as many of these as you wanted to. But you can see the fineness and it doesn't have a fluidity and a drape, but you can see how it doesn't have the stiffness that you would expect to find from calico. And calico is normally quite itchy. I wouldn't normally want to wear that next to my skin. But this one you could do, it feels like a nice crisp cotton. But at £2.49, maybe making cushion covers. Maybe you are just, you know, practicing sewing. We always say that everyone's got fabric in a stash somewhere. Old bed sheets, old tablecloths, maybe you don't. So this is a great practice fabric. But maybe you're doing red work. Ragdoll's perfect as well. I've had questions about calico for ragdolls before, and I've always said no because the weave's a little bit too loose, but this is tighter, so for ragdolls absolutely fine. Maybe making Tilda dolls and toys, perfect. For embroidery, it's like a quilting weight of cotton, so you've got the kind of weave that you can hand embroider very easily. So you could be just maybe decorating hoops with a little bit of red work or black work or white work or gold work or whatever kind of embroidery you fancy doing. It dyes really well because you've got 100% cotton, so you can change the colour very easily. Those little flecks in there, by the way, are part of the cotton seed pod, which gives you a really natural, organic look to the fabric. And I was saying in the previous show, I do like a combination. I like a contradiction of textures. So working with a very heavy fabric that goes with a very fine fabric, so that the whole linen and lace kind of thing. So I think this would work really well with a canvas or with denim, and certainly for bag making it's a really strong fabric as well. So for a lining of a bag would be absolutely perfect for something like this. So you could make home deck items. It could be maybe seat covers. It's a really strong fabric. Actually, calico is the kind of fabric that you would normally use if you're covering, say, a dining chair. You may have springs, you may not have springs, but then you'll have your, we don't use horsehair these days, but there's an equivalent that you can use for horsehair. Then you'll put a finer padding on the top of that. Then you'll stretch your calico around there, and that forms the shape of the seat before you put your actual fabric on there. So that's another area where calico is not normally seen. But this could be made to be the actual seat cover. So if you're covering stools, if you're covering chairs, maybe it's the garden furniture, an awful lot more affordable to make your own cushions than it is to go and buy them. If you get a piece of paper, maybe a wallpaper or something like that, and literally press it into the shape of the chair, and then draw around it or score around it, fold it in half to cut it out so you know two pieces are symmetrical, and you've got the shape of your chair that you can then make a cushion pad with. Remember to add a seam allowance to it, and you can use that to cut out the shape of a lump of foam as well, to make it nice and padded. So nice solid foam for outdoor chairs would be nice. And it doesn't kind of argue, does it? So it doesn't matter if you've got other things, if you have pretty fabrics or classic fabrics or stripes or spots, or ticking would be lovely with this. Because it's the plain colour, then it's not going to fight against any other fabrics either. So it doesn't really matter what kind of home deck items you have already. This is going to blend in, apart from white. Wouldn't use it with white. But it'll go with anything apart from that. So again, that's £2.49. And hundreds of these are going literally as we speak. Hannah, producer, has asked for 10 units to be left spare because she just wants to have 5 metres in her home. No idea what she's going to do with it yet, but I think a lot of us are going to be the same. You see a bargain price like this, then it's not worth leaving on the shelf, is it? Because you'll use it. She's seen some amazing embroidered floor cushions she's thinking of. So floor cushion's really easy to make as well. I made some to match a friend of mine's curtains, but they had a back to them as well, so you could actually lie down and recline on them. My So Outdoor Living book actually has got floor stools, really solidly packed, squarish kind of stools, and those are using polystyrene beans. Buy them in a bag if you're going to buy those. Don't buy them loose because the dog's going to be wearing them for years to come. It's quite funny. So make sure they've got in there. So what was that tip? Sorry, Hannah. Polystyrene beans. Fill your project in the bath. That's a good idea. but no water, and you can keep your clothes on. But just so they don't go in. I did have a bag of those. So that, you saw Alfie in my book, my old dog, and I opened up the bag and he put his head in it to have a sniff, and he just came out looking like a little snowman. It was like that for weeks. It just keep. It's like the Christmas tree needles. Come summertime, you're still picking them out of somewhere. Those polystyrene things are just the same, aren't they? Anyhow, how did we get onto that? £2.49 for half a metre. Order more than one. All come joined up. Lots of you have already checked out for this. That is a steal, honestly. Now I've had lots of challenge Debbies. I'll just see if there's any more here. We're going to make a. Well, if you want to challenge me, I've still got another hour to go at 11 o'clock where I don't know what to do. So there you go. Judith said, oh, she wanted a little book / pouch to keep her sewing machine needles in, so we know where they all are. That is a good idea. I'm scouting around the studio. Just to see if there's anything I can use for the inside. Mind you could use calico, it doesn't have to be felt, does it? Have a think about that for the last hour. We'll see what we can do for the last hour there. That'll be 11 o'clock. We had questions about pleats, didn't we? Should we do a bit of pleating and gathering? Right. And that one was Christine. So excuse me while I just plug the iron in, because we need that. If you have pleats on a, so I just thought of another technique, but I need a fork. So this is my box of goodies. There's bound to be a fork in here, isn't there? Bear with me. Always have a fork in your sewing box. Right, if you have a pattern, so if you're dressmaking, I'm just ironing that flax. It's got pleats in it already. Right. So I'll just cool it a little bit because I'm going to use a friction pen. It won't work on warm fabric. If you're doing box pleats, for instance, on your pattern, you'll have markings like this. Probably about that far apart. And what you're going to do is to join them together, like so. Now there's two ways of doing a box pleat, but it's both the same way. I'll explain that in just a second. So these are 1 inch apart, which is probably about the distance that you're going to have on a skirt or something like that. And you take one pleat to the other. Your pattern might have arrows on it as well. Pin it, press it. And then this goes from the other side and meets in the middle there. So I'm not going to actually sew that, but that is one pleat. You may wish to use the other side, which is that. So you've got a different style of pleat, a different look of pleat, but it looks, but it's exactly the same pleat. It's just either one side or the other. And with a lot of things, I mean, that would make a nice skirt if you did it all the way around, or that could be a pleat maybe in the back of a shirt. In fact, either way, you see either of those in the back of a shirt, but it's just really, really simple. The most confusing thing about the pleats is just the markings on the pattern, how to transfer them and how to actually use them. But if you're making pleats on, have we got any ribbon? Let me have a look. I'm back in the box again. A bit like a TARDIS in here. I might have ribbon. We've got ribbon? I've normally got ribbon. That's not going to crease. I'll use a bit of bias binding. Need to sort that out, don't I? Or if you cut a strip of fabric. Oh, I've not actually done it on a big piece of fabric. Maybe we'll just have a go on the calico. Let's go for it. So take said fork, and the forks are normally 1 inch across, so I'm going to make 1 inch pleats with this one. So I'm just on a straight stitch at the moment. So I'll show you here. Let me take that away so you can see it against the green. And I'm going to put the fork into the side of the fabric with just one spoke sticking out. But we'll do it that way. So the fork's facing down, and that's going to go there, and then we're going to flick it over. and sew, and then do the same again. So fork facing down, flick it over and sew. So again, in there, flick it over, whoops, and sew. So if I'm lining up the edge of the fork against the previous pleat, I'm going to have 1-inch long perfect pleats all the way across. But let's have a go. So have a clean fork. Don't want bits of cabbage on there. So let's do that. We'll get this going, so just to hold it down. Needle down, and then again over we go, and fold and hold. Over we go, and fold and hold. Can you see what I'm doing there? I'll flatten that down a bit. So again, over we go, down and sew. And over we go, and fold and sew. So don't sew too far over the pleat, else your fork's going to be in the way. And it will reduce the width of your fabric by 2/3. So do bear that in mind if you're making up your own pattern. So now, got that. So previously, I would have been measuring and marking and folding and pinning and maybe tacking and then sewing, but just by using a fork. It's only if you want 1-inch wide pleats, but you've got, can't do them any bigger, unless you got a big fork, like a garden fork. Oh, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Maybe in the next sewing surgery we'll have a go at that. But yeah, you've got perfect little pleats, and they're really, really easy to make. So I need to undo that. I'll chop that off. That was only down the selvage anyway. And gathering was the other one, wasn't it, from Christine? So let's take that off there. You could use a gathering foot, which I don't think we've got on this machine, have we? It's got everything, but I don't think it's got a gathering foot. You get an adapter foot, actually. So if you had a gathering foot from your previous machine and it won't fit on this one, there is a little adapter that comes with the machine in an exclusive bundle, just for us, £200 worth of extra bits and bobs. So have a look elsewhere if you want to have a shop around. Maybe you've seen the Juki before. You will see the machine for similar prices, but you won't see £200 worth of bonuses there. Right, so I'll do that. We've got a cording foot, there's a gathering foot, there's a bias binding foot, loads of feet. There's one for sequins and beads. Right, gathering, that's what I'm doing. So if you don't have a gathering foot, I bought a ruffler foot. Now that's impressive, they were really expensive, but that is really impressive. Right, so I am going to always do 2 rows of stitches if you're gathering. And I don't want the thread to be cut. I want to pull a little bit of thread out the back. So don't use your thread cutter when we're doing that. Okay. We're going to lengthen the stitch. So let's take that up to its maximum, which is 5. And you could loosen the tension a little bit as well. I'm not going to do that now because we're running out of time. So, and then we're going to do 2 rows. Now 2 rows of stitching for a reason. 2 rows of stitching will give you a flatter gather. Again, I'm not going to snip the thread. So pull that out there. And 2 rows of gathering, because if you do break one of the threads, then you've still got another one to go. If you loosen the tension, that's it. Just slightly, you'll find the fabric easier to gather as well. So these are about a centimetre apart, or just over ½ inch apart. Again, I'm not going to use the thread snippers. And then, I don't know why, but you'll find it easier to gather the bottom thread than you do the top one. So pull the bobbin thread. I bought the ruffler foot because my daughter does an awful lot of dressmaking, and she loves things with gathers in them, but she hates doing the gathering. Well, do something that doesn't have gathers, but I like the gathers. So whether it's sleeves or yokes or anything, and then you're very gently going to pull. You could pull from each side if you've got a long piece, may make it easier, but just very gently space out all of the gathers. A gathering foot will gather up your fabric. It's due to the shape of the foot, it's angled, so it pushes the fabric underneath the needle at a much quicker pace, but you will have the gathers will be sewn, so you can't tighten them or loosen them. Another option, if you have an overlocker, you can do a fantastic gathering stitch on your overlocker as well. But that's the affordable way, anyhow, to make a gather. So I hope that's helped. Right. Try to straighten that out. This is perfect fabric though, back to the calico again, if you are doing a little bit of embroidery. And we have lots of embroidery stuff for you here as well. So we have hoops, first of all. These, I think, to be honest, it depends what I'm actually embroidering. If it's something very delicate, I will always use an embroidery hoop. But what I do like an embroidery hoop for is free motion embroidery. So this can go underneath the foot on your sewing machine. So if you've got an extra high presser foot lift, that will easily slip underneath. She says easily. And, oh, go on. Particularly the big one. I've got the walking foot on it, that's why. Doesn't like me using it with a walking foot on. Extra high presser foot lift, slip it underneath there, and it's a built-in walking foot, or dual feed foot, I should say. Slip it in there, and then you can use that with your sewing machine. But for decoration as well, and in fact, if you go for all three, you've got a really nice display of some of the things that you've embroidered, whether that's machine embroidery or even or your hand embroidery, of course. So this one is £5.99, or just hoops of fabric. Makes a lovely decoration, doesn't it? So £5.99 your price there. That is a 9.4 inch or 24 centimetre hoop. We have the middle-sized one here. I feel like Goldilocks. Here's the middle one. And this one is 7.8 inches. That's £5.49. And then finally, we have the smaller option, which is £3.99, and that's 14.5 centimetres or 5.8 inches across if you wanted to go for those. We also have the table clamp. You don't see these very often, but they are very useful for holding your work in place while you're embroidering. So that goes onto the side of the table like so. So let's just unscrew this. So that goes on there. It's height adjustable as well. And of course you can turn this to any angle that you like. So now I'm hands-free. This isn't the right position for me. If I'm feeding through from one side to the other of the hoop, then I can really tighten that up so it really holds it in place. And then I can just swivel it out of the way when I'm not using it. So this could maybe be, if you've got an appropriate style of chair, it could be on the arm of your chair so it's right next to where you are. Or if you're sitting up against a table, again, you can swivel it away while you're doing something else and then bring it back again. But again, you don't actually see these very often. So if you've seen them before, I would snatch our hands off with this one. It's only £19.99, and it's a nice deep hoop here as well. So that's a 10-inch frame. So, I mean, once you've got one, that's it, isn't it? And of course, if you're embroidering larger items, you can just move the, I was going to say move the hoop around. You move your fabric around inside the hoop, so you could do borders and things like that. So that's that one. We've got some books for inspiration for you as well. Got lots of books on today, haven't we? I like a book. Sorry, that was noisy, wasn't it? Now, we launched this book exclusively with the, forget my fork. And the nice thing is, it's got its own kind of bookmark there as well. So it's a folder. We're giving you a random selection of threads with this one too. But this is one of those books that you just look through. You've got templates in here. So it does come out of the folder if you want it to. But this is your inspiration. You're going to look through here and think, oh, that's amazing. It's got the detail in that moth. I wonder if I could. And then, of course, you've got all of your instructions. So, of course, you can. So the templates are iron-on. So that's the little folder inside there. And the lady who wrote this book was actually self-taught. Isn't that amazing? So, because I think when you look at the finished item, it does look very challenging. It looks really, really time consuming. Nothing wrong with that. But then everything's broken down into very simple steps, which makes it so much easier. Aren't these gorgeous? So inspired by Kew Gardens. That's pretty. Look at the highlights on that. Looks so dimensional, doesn't it? So little moths. So I think this is going to be a little bit of evening time reading. But there's so much inspiration in here and so easily explained as well. A lot of step-by-step instructions. There's a grasshopper. It's amazing. I love the smell of a new book. Does that sound a bit odd? This is £21.99, and again you do have your collection of embroidery threads. Can't guarantee exactly which ones you're going to get, but you will have a selection of embroidery threads included as well. Have you made anything from this? So, and there's so many different flowers in it. This would it not make a lovely, or the finished thing, and in the hoop maybe to present it, make a lovely gift. So maybe, what's the flower of the month? Delphinium's a flower of the month, isn't it, for July? I wonder if there's a delphinium in here. But maybe that flower is appropriate for you. Lily of the Valley always reminds me of my grandma, so that would be a nice one to embroider and have in the house. It may be a specific flower that you had in your wedding bouquet. That would make a lovely gift for somebody. So if just favourite flowers, my favourite flowers are yellow tulips, as it happens. Haven't seen a tulip in here yet. And of course you're embroidering it. If you're making a rose, then you can make that in any colour that you like. But carnations. I love pinks. They're another one of my favourite flowers. Mini carnations. I love poppies. Just love flowers. Sweet peas. So pretty. Oh, look at him. Could be a her. Right, so that's £21.99. So I was being a little self-indulgent, having a read there. We have some Fiskars embroidery scissors for you as well. Sharp, right to the point. I know I bash on about it, but it's really, really important. These are incredibly sharp and pointy. When Jules was cutting out the letterbox zip previously, these would be perfect. When you're cutting little tiny snips into, I should have given them to her, shouldn't I? If you're fitting magnetic snaps and you just want a tiny, tiny little hole, then these are going to be perfect. But have a look. I wasn't sabotaging her. But tiny little snips. That's impressive, isn't it, for a pair of scissors? That's what I mean by sharp, right to the point. Some scissors aren't. Some scissors kind of have a biting point halfway down. But these are just, look at that, it's amazing. So if you are snipping tiny, tiny little pieces of thread, I mean, they're jolly good sharp scissors, to be honest. But that's what impresses me with scissors. That's what I look for. I want that blade to be meeting all the way down, no gaps. I don't want to have to cut like this because that's the only part of the blade I can actually get any kind of grip. I want to be able to cut at the end or there or all the way down. That's what makes a good pair of scissors to me. And they're Fiskars, so just by having that name on there, you know that you're investing in quality. And they're £13.99. In your toolbox, and I'm sure I've written that in my book somewhere, you'll need dressmaking shears for cutting larger pieces of fabric. You don't need, but you would probably like a pair of pinking shears to finish off your seams, and you will need a small pair of scissors for snipping those tiny threads, for getting right into points, for cutting the tiny, when you're cutting around curves and things like that, and really making those really precise little cuts. So those are the ones that I'm recommending for you. I use these at home. And they're £13.99. We have storage for you too. This is clever. This is a dome needle case. So inside here, we actually has, I'm putting H's in everywhere today. We actually have a needle in here already. You don't get one. But basically, you've got your needle and your thread, and you can knot your thread if you like. You're going to push the needle right into that bit there, and then you turn the middle around, and it's, well, I've done that the wrong way around, haven't I? That goes in there, then it goes in there, and then you swish it around, and all of your thread is trapped inside here. And you can store, I think it's 10 in here, isn't it? You can store 10 needles and thread, and it will take embroidery needles and embroidery thread as well. It keeps it all nice and neat. And you can see the colour of the thread as the needle pops out, and you know you've always got a needle threaded, ready to go. That's great storage as well for your needles, isn't it? So again, at £9.99. If you find you're threading needles for other people, and I am getting to that stage, not the threading the needles, but needing them threaded, then get them to thread up 10 of those for you, store them, and then you're ready to go no matter what it is you're doing, aren't you? Right, £9.99. That's another great gift idea as well. If people who sew are always problematic for gifts because they've got everything they want, haven't they? Or they're really fussy about what they like. So these are nice little, I was going to say novelty. It is a novelty, but it's a practical novelty. So that would make a nice present as well. Oh, when we're talking about hand sewing needles, we've got lots of different types of needles on the website. We've got Sashiko needles. These are embroidery and crewel needles. Personally, I don't normally take any notice of what it says on here. So this is embroidery and crewel work, but I like I like a thin needle with either a round or a long eye so I can thread the thing. So I'd be using, for the most part, these ones down here. If I'm using thicker threads, then I'll use the ones in the middle. But again, I go for the type of needle you prefer. I use millinery needles quite a lot at home. I like sharps needles because they're very fine and very long. I don't tend to use quilting needles because they're just too tiny for me. So betweens I don't tend to use very much. But this is a good range of sizes as well. The larger needles are slightly thicker, and you've got very fine, thin needles. That's almost like a between for hand quilting. The larger the needle, the larger the eye is on there as well. So ignore that. You can take notice of the sizes if you like. There's 16 needles in total. It's only £1.99. £1.99 and £3.95 postage. Well, isn't that ridiculous? If you've already ordered something today, you're not going to pay any extra postage. So that's the time. Maybe you've gone for the calico. Hundreds of you have, over 500 of you have already. So if you think, I could do with some needles, I'm going to order those. I'm not going to pay £3.95 if you order today. So all of the orders are collated at midnight tonight. So anything else that you keep ordering, we're not going to charge you any extra postage. So you could have bought this morning's early bird and then gone for some hand sewing needles, and then a Juki sewing machine, and you've still got one daily postage of £3.95. The early bird, if you missed it earlier on, is a little bit of storage for your bits and bobs. Another gift idea. The scissors are included. That's a little pin cushion. You can use this as a pin cushion as well because it's nicely padded, and you've got a tape measure on the back there as well. Do you want to know the tomato story? You see a lot of pin cushions in the shape of a tomato, and it's nothing to do with fast food restaurants. In medieval times, tomatoes were traditionally given as wedding gifts because they were believed to prevent bad spirits from coming into the house. So a tomato would be given, the tomato would be left on the doorstep, and then bad spirits, I don't know why, they don't like tomato. I think they're allergic. So they couldn't actually get into the house. But tomatoes were really expensive. So instead of buying a real tomato, then people used to make tomatoes to leave on the doorsteps. And because they're made out of fabric and they're padded, some smart Alec thought that'd make a good pin cushion. And that's how it came about. Now, results may vary. If you're troubled by evil spirits, it might not work. We can't make any promises there, okay? But that's the story behind it. That's why you see so many tomatoes. And sometimes on the tomatoes, you know, the dedicated tomato pin cushions, they have an extra little bit hanging off that looks like a strawberry. That's got sand in it, and that's to sharpen your needles with as well. Yeah, full of it today, aren't we? £89.99. All of the bits are included, including the scissors, including the tape measure, and that's the lid. And you've got storage inside there as well. 1/2 of our stock of the early bird has now sold out. You're saving £3, which is almost your postage, isn't it, if you wanted to go for that. Now your calico, we have, well, that means we have 30 units remaining. Hannah would like to tell you that we have 20 units remaining because she wants that 10. I'd just buy it if I was you. I'd take no notice of Hannah. So we've got 30 units left. That means we've only got 15 metres now remaining. Oh gosh, there was almost 1,000 of these yesterday, weren't there? So literally hundreds and hundreds of you are checking out your baskets. If you wanted to order 10 units, fine. If you wanted to order 20 units, absolutely fine. You go for it. This isn't a limited offer as in one per person. Not going to be demoing this at 11 o'clock now, am I? £2.49 is your price there. 140 wide. Right, we have an embroidery organiser. This is such a jolly good idea. With 10 free skeins of thread, can't guarantee what colour you're going to get. Your embroidery thread at the moment, is it nicely organised? Can you ever manage to just pull one strand of thread out while keeping the papers intact? I can't. These end up coming off. That ends up in a big mess in a bowl somewhere. But here you've actually got your bobbins that you can individually wind all of your thread on, and these store perfectly in here, as you can see. These, do they come out? I thought they came out. No, they don't come out. But it keeps all of your threads organised. If your thread is organised, there is less chance of you going to a big knot of embroidery thread, pulling out as much as you think you can get, leaving the knot there, cutting it off and throwing them away. Or maybe not throwing them away, just leaving them in the cupboard somewhere unused. So that is quite a relaxing job, actually, sitting and winding. But it does keep you very organised. We've got a bobbin winder for you. There we go. So while we're talking about bobbin winding, I shan't take it out. But there you go, have a look at that. So you're going to clip this onto the side of the box or something and starch your thread around here, and then you turn a handle. How much fun is that? How much easier is that than doing it by hand? Isn't that a good idea? Hey, it's only £2.99. Oh, I should definitely be going for one of those. What a good idea that is. That makes that an awful lot easier, doesn't it? Because you've got so many bobbins in there. Clever. £2.99 your price for that one. So go for them all together. You're only paying one postage if you do. I might have a go at that, mate. I might take it out of the packet and have a go. Purely for my own entertainment. All right, let's put that in there. I've got Wind the Bobbin Up playing in my head now. Playing in my head. I'm thinking one of those record players where you could stack them on and just drop down the record that you're playing, like in a jukebox. That's going on in my head. Right, embroidery threads are a bonus if you're embroidering. We've got two colour options. These are the brights. And in here, there are actually 36 skeins. And again, I shan't take them all out, but if you have a look at the end, you can see all of the colours in there. They're all different. So 36 individual colours, from black to white to every colour of the rainbow in between. And those are just £9.99. I don't do a lot of embroidery, but I use a lot of embroidery thread, if that makes sense. Well, I do embroidery then, don't I? But I'm thinking of dolls' faces. So little blue eyes and black irises and a dot of white as a highlight. I'd use embroidery thread. Actually, if I got the cording foot for the machine, that would be, I don't think it's here, is it? The creative cording foot that you get with the machine would make maybe have a go with another foot. Would make a lovely design. So you can put, I think it's either 3 or 5 threads all together, and the foot holds them all in place. The foot basically looks like it's got a metal bit over the top, which is looped like that. And you thread all of your cords, your different cords through the foot, and then you can choose any of the decorative stitches or even a zigzag stitch on your machine and sew them all in place. And you can kind of make waves and stripes that go around anything from collars and cuffs and bag flaps and things like that. So that's the Brides. Got the same deal, but this time in the pastels. Again at £9.99, and you have 36 skeins there in total again. So all pretty pastel colours, and look, 36 of those altogether. Always useful to have them though, isn't it? The more colours they have, particularly if you're doing flowers where you've got lots of shading. But I'd go for both of those, to be honest, because then you can go from the very pale and the pastel all the way through to the very deep and the darks and the brights as well. And they're just £9.99, so you've got great value there as well. Now, we do have a specialised Sashiko thread as well. 2 colours here, so we've got the blue or the ecru. So this one is the ecru. So if you're Sashikoing onto blue, which is the traditional kind of look, isn't it? And then this will really stand out beautifully against your blue fabric. You've got 40 metres here in total, and that's £4.99. So that is a specialised thread just for Sashiko. So traditionally it's navy on white, but if you wanted to do white on navy, then we've got that for you. But we do have a navy as well. Actually, that and the calico would look really nice, wouldn't it? So there's your navy option. So again, same deal, same 40 metres you get for the same price at £4.99. Right, we've got some teased you these, didn't we? These are some of the small panels for Sashiko designs. This one's open, so I'll show you what you're going to get. So this is the Aranami. No, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Your instructions are actually printed on the panel. And that's what you've got. Open that up so you can see. So that's what we have. So all of your instructions on here, which is rather sweet. These wash off. So you can then sew around the design. So we've got rabbits on this one, so just follow the stitches. Don't worry if you miss some or if your stitches aren't exactly the same length as the stitches that are on here, because that washes off. And then don't wash your instructions until you've finished, but when you wash this off, you've then got the backing fabric so that you can make a placemat, or you could use some lining with it and actually make a bag out of it as well. Cushion front would be a nice idea as well. If you go for a few, you could treat them as blocks and make them up into a quilt. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But again, nice to have all of the stitches on there, but don't pre-wash this because you'll just end up with a piece of navy fabric, which is, you know, it's very nice. But hand stitching, if it's something that you're starting with, and, you know, maybe you've looked at the Embroidered Flowers book that I showed you earlier on, and you just think, no, it's completely out of my skill range. This is like stitching by numbers almost. You're following the outline and no one's going to know. And I think with hand sewing, it's really therapeutic, it's relaxing, isn't it? They call techniques like this or crafts like this mindful. I call it mindless, because you just lose yourself in it. You're not thinking about anything else, you're just relaxing, and all you're doing, it's like colouring in, all you're doing is following the dots. So it's a great de-stressing relaxation kind of thing. So people say, you know, I'm not a doctor or anything, but that's what people say. £12.99 is your price there, and these are all 12 by 12, so if you do go for more than one, then you know that you've got the same size of blocks. So that's the Arunami. This one, they're ever so easy, it's just difficult to say. This is Autumn, so this one's got dragonflies on it. Try and pop that back neatly. So we've got dragonflies and the clamshells on that design, so you can see what it's going to look like here. When you open it up, it's just the same. So you've got instructions on one side and the stitches on the other. I've only got 9 of those left now. So pop you in here. Then this one's noshi. We'll have to look at what these mean, won't we? So there is, it's a bow basically. So it looks like a bow of ribbons with that one. Go on in. It's that difficult to get that in there. Then we have Cumulus Cloud. So I'm going to show you this one. That's well stuck. There we go. So again, it's 12 inches square with the instructions on one side as well. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, and look, we've got you've got your clamshell shapes, and we've got stars here. Those are like tabs. So you're learning different styles of Sashiko. And again, once you've learnt all of these, there's no reason why you can't go on to use these for different projects as well. That's so pretty. So tiny stitches, so long ones and the tiny ones on this one. It's gorgeous. And again, you've got all of your instructions there as well. Water soluble, do not use it. Oh yes, that's a good point as well. Because this is water soluble, I just noticed on there, don't use a steam iron. So don't blast the creases out with steam, use a dry iron. That's just disappear. Oh, that would be awful, wouldn't it? Yeah, no sewing in the rain, no sewing while you're swimming or bathing. Otherwise, as I said, you just have a piece of blue fabric. This one is the dragonfly. So there's 2 with dragonflies on it. So do you want to look at that one as well? Open it up. That calico's sold out, by the way. Sorry, Hannah. There we go. So we've got 4 dragonflies in different sizes. Isn't that lovely? And you've got the border there as well. You know, there's nothing to say. Traditionally, you're going to use your cream or your ecru coloured thread. So go for that. But this is yours. You can use whatever you like. So what about a bit dark? Or you could just use lots of different colours. You don't have to do it all in one colour. Make a nice wall hanging, wouldn't it? So if you're wall hanging, you could, when you've washed this one, the instructions have gone. Oh no, it's not going to go all the way. I was going to say you could make a border around it, make it a bit bigger, but you can't with that one. So no, that's going to be the back. But you could add more fabric and make a border around there to make it bigger, couldn't you? And again, that's £12.99. And finally, Seasons. There's this one. That's a really detailed one as well. So you've got some panels that are quite quick makes and some that are going to be a little bit more time consuming. Getting ever so good at folding since I've been working here. You know. So this one, again, you've got the three circles there. Why is it called Seasons? There must be a meaning behind that. I'm going to have a look at it. Let's have a look. Because you want to see what you get in, don't you? So loads of stitches on this one. No, I don't know why it's Seasons. Because there's only 3. So they're all floral. It's really pretty. Those are going to be gorgeous, aren't they? Oh, send in pictures if you've made some of these already. They've always been popular. Let's see what you've done. Have you done something a little bit different? Have you gone off-piste? Using lots of different colours, or has it got you hooked? Is Sashiko something that you really enjoy doing? That's your hobby of choice now. Love to know. We do have Sashiko needles on the website as well, so have a look on sewingstreet.com for those. There we go. And if you are a little bit more advanced with your sashikoing. We have simple sashiko. It's the techniques, but there's also projects in here as well. And there's sometimes a little bit different. I've got hair in my mouth. And this is Susan Briscoe, famed for sashiko. There we go. And it's only £6.99. So these are all of your stitches and techniques. And then she takes you into making different things with them. You could do this with the panels, couldn't you? Just put them in little box frames. It'd look really nice. So we've got sampler cushions. Although you've got quite an ancient technique, these they're quite contemporary, aren't they, in their design? So pocket hangers, always useful. And then the longer wall hangings, long samplers. Deserve to be shown off, don't they? Look lovely on the walls. So that is £6.99, the price for that one. You've got 8 projects in there altogether. But it's not just about the projects, remember, it's all about learning the techniques as well. Let's have a look what that should be. £9.99, that book. And then here, again, by Susan Briscoe, the ultimate source book. And what I like about this one is the history in it. So there's some really lovely photos. Oh, look. Noshi wall hanging featuring patterns tradition, because we've got the Noshi panel, haven't we? I can't pronounce any of that. Made with the applique was made with pieces of antique cloth from Kylo's collection before the sashiko was stitched. It's nice to see the history, isn't it? Oh, that's huge. Look at the size of it, unless they're very tiny people. So yeah, if you've never heard of sashiko before and think, well, I quite like it, where did it come from? You've got all of the history and pictures in there as well, which I think is lovely. So different kind of methods and techniques, and then you've got some projects which are very achievable projects. You know, you're not making king-size bed quilts or anything like that. You're making curtains and drawstring bags, cushions and table runners. Pattern library, that's useful as well, isn't it? You could stitch all of those out, make a quilt out of it. So, £11.99 is your price for this one. Just have a quick... it should be £15.99. Great savings, aren't they? All right, I've got those all back in the bags again. Okay, need to get all these folded up and put back into bags. We're going to have Jules back with us in the next hour, and she's going to be making a haberdashery roll from one of my books as well. So we'll have a tidy up. Might put the kettle on actually, and see you again in a couple of minutes.
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the Watch Live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer, and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying one postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
If you love sewing, then you need the UK's favourite sewing magazine. Every month, you'll receive exclusive patterns. Follow simple step-by-step guides suitable for all skill levels to make your own stunning clothes, accessories and more, together with inspiring tips and tricks from industry experts. Join in and discover your love for sewing. Try Love Sewing today and get your first 3 issues for just £6.
Would you like to take part in our weekly competition? If you do, then all you have to do is head to the Sewing Street fan page group on Facebook. Post your picture of your make. Myself, Debbie Shaw and John Cole Morgan love looking at all of your makes every week. We pick our favourite and announce the winner every Friday live on the show. Happy sewing and good luck.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines, and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you, or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday.
Hello, my name's Jenny McCreary and I am a guest designer on Sewing Street. A little bit of an introduction into me and who I am. I've got some questions here I'm going to answer. What do I specialise in? Dressmaking, 100%. It's my favourite thing. Made this wee guy behind me here. I absolutely love it. Bikinis, underwear, dresses, hair accessories. Does that count as dressmaking? Maybe not. I love homewares as well, to be fair. I'm not an expert in homewares. I would say I'm an expert in dressmaking. Quilting is the one thing I do not do yet. There's still time. I'm really worried. I don't want to get into quilting because I know that it is there's just so much to it, and I'll get right into it and then might leave dressmaking behind. I'm not really finished with dressmaking yet. So dressmaking is my thing. I got into sewing. This is quite a common one actually. It was for Halloween costumes. So I wanted to be the Tooth Fairy. My mum had a sewing machine, she knew how to use it, and I used it to make a tutu. That was the first thing I ever made. And then I realised I loved clothes, I loved fashion, and I then went on to study at university after school. So I studied fashion business, and now I do it for a job. What a dream. Something unexpected about me that is sewing related. Probably back in 2011, I think it was, when the royal wedding was about to happen in April. It was Kate and Will's wedding. A customer of the place I worked at the time challenged me to make the dress live. So nobody knew what the dress looked like, and I made it in 8 hours live while I was watching. So everyone else was having a nice wee day watching the royal wedding, and I was like sweating, it was roasting. Some newspapers came to watch as well. Yeah, that was interesting. I made it in 8 hours. Sewing tip that I would share with you guys, one thing that I share with my customers a lot is not to get too hung up on trying to learn everything. You'll never know everything about sewing. It's impossible. There's so much new stuff happening all the time, and new techniques and new tools and all that sort of thing. Just give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? See, as long as you're using a fabric that's not like wild expensive, and it's not going to be too much of a loss if it doesn't quite go to plan, then just give it a go. You'll learn so much just by giving things a go. My claim to fame, that is a hard one. Oh wait, obviously my claim to fame is being a guest designer on Sewing Street, right? That's it. I do actually tell people that all the time when they say, tell me something unusual about you. That's it. Another claim to fame, a sewing related one, I own the UK's only sewing tuition franchise. I suppose that's nice. No one else has that. I've done other TV before as well. I've done some game shows. You can look it up if you want. I have done some game shows before. I love TV, it's great fun. I am looking forward to sewing with you guys soon on Sewing Street.
Welcome back again. You're watching Sewing Street and I'm Debbie Shaw. This hour we're going to be looking at a tool roll from my sewing room accessories book, and Jules is back with us again, and she's going to be taking you through the techniques like doing the zips and squaring off the pockets and making box shapes and things like that. We do have some bundles for you as well that we put together with some amazing, isn't that gold and black lovely? I love those spots. So we put together some very different styles of fabrics for you as well, and the project is actually from my sewing room accessories book. This one is part of the Love to Sew range. Love to Sew books. There's a whole selection of Love to Sew books, all by different authors. I think I've got 2 in this range. They're very simply explained projects. In a lot of the Love to Sew books, you'll only have instructions and a final picture. We get a bit more in mine. I'm married to the photography, you know, so we can fit lots of pictures in. But with this one, I wanted you to make things for yourself, for your sewing room. Of course, you can give them away as gifts. You can sell them if you want to, I don't mind. But the idea is that you can coordinate your sewing room with lots of things like pin cushions, different designs of those. Love that pumpkin pin cushion. We've got a ribbon stash that actually sits inside a sewing organiser, which is this one, your sewing case. So we've got lots of pictures. More than you'd expect. There's a couple of different types of sewing machine covers. So this one is one of those that ties at the side, but you can then make it into a mat, and techniques as well, like free motion embroidery. Got a tidy caddy with a drawstring top, somewhere for your cutting mat, and you can make that any size you like for your cutting mat. So great if we ever get to go back to workshops again. Storage again, that's the tool roll that Jules is going to make up for us. Chair storage. Now I made the pin cushion in one of the shows a few weeks ago. I started making it because you can make this on its own. It doesn't have to be in the chair storage, but that's quite handy if you like to sit outside or in front of the TV maybe and do a little bit of sewing. Or a seam press, I've got that. With hams, and basically that's what this is, they don't have anywhere to put your hand. So if you're using a ham, you've got your hand around it, and there is a chance that you're going to burn your fingers. So I thought, well, why not make them with a handle under there or a pocket under there so my hand can go in here. But with this one, I've made it with a square base because I make a lot of bags. So with this one, I can push out right angle corners and steam them without flattening the bag. And then it's got the shorter end as well. And it is kind of rounder because it's hamish. So you could use that to make curved seams as well. So that was, I should mark it though, shouldn't I? Maybe sell some of those. Oh, there you go. So that's just full of sawdust. Not sure where to get sawdust from, try pet shops. An ironing station, that's just a converted stool. That's the second sewing machine cover, and this one's got a pocket on the back to store your extension table in. I'll explain how to measure for yours as well. A pin and pattern pouch. The section across the top here is full of sand, which weighs it down, but it also sharpens your pins when you put them in there. And it's got a nice square base, so you can fit lots of patterns in there too. That sand's quite heavy, so it will take some weight. And then a notebook cover, so you can make notes of your seam allowances or your favourite patterns or something. And that's a carry case, which is one of those carriage railway cases, they call them, don't they? With pockets on the inside too. So that's that, and that's only £7.99. So we've put some bundles together as promised. So first up we have the stars fabrics, stars and swallows. Or are they house martins or are they swift? I can never tell the difference. I think the swallows. Buttons are included as well. You'll need about 1 inch of hook and loop fastening, so we're going to give you 1/2 metre. As we do. And you've got ribbon there as well. So it's all of this. So 3 buttons. I don't think you need 3 buttons. I think you need 1. So you've got a couple of spare buttons. You've got loads of this spare, aren't they? Or, you know, we were talking about frou-frou yesterday. Those are the ones that I'd have on my ostrich feathered kitten-heeled slippers. If they were going to have a button on them, they'd have those buttons on. Yeah, that's Sunday morning topics, I think. So we're not talking about frou-frou on a Monday morning. If you've not watched the Sunday morning shows, do join us next Sunday. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what products I've got. I don't know what guests I've got. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know. I just don't know. Makes it all the more fun, doesn't it? I like a bit of Sunday morning sewing. Right, so here we have spots and flowers. So this is Moda fabric, Canning Days. Perfectly coordinated ribbon. There's your 3 sparkly disco buttons and all of that hook and loop fastening as well. £16.45 is the price there. There's half a metre of each of these fabrics, by the way. And finally, we've got the spots. So this is the one that Jules has made this one out of already. Half a metre of the cream and half a metre of the black. Loads of one-touch fastening, snazzy glitzy buttons and gold ribbon with this one. And that's £14.95. Love to, what's the Love to Sew tool? Oh yes, because of the book. Oh, yes. Right, so have a look on the website if there's anything else that you need. So if you wanted some matching threads, we've got lots of Oracle threads on the website. And if you need a sewing machine, of course, we've got those there too. And if there is anything that you'd like to order, this is how you do it.
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the Watch Live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying 1 postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
And welcome back again. So what are we going to do in this? I love this fabric, isn't it?
I
Isn't it?
really,
I love
really
it,
like
isn't it?
this. Isn't it? I do.
Isn't it? I
do
really,
too.
yeah, we know what we mean. Don't
Yeah, I really like this one. I had a choice, luckily, of deciding which way round I wanted to do it. So I've chosen that as the outside and this is the inside this time. So it's kind of a positive and negative. So you can just get an idea as to what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I really like this fabric, and I really like the ribbon that was chosen for the fabric
Yeah,
as well.
Nice. It's perfect, isn't it?
Just matches. It's so nice. So yeah, cool.
So did you find it easy to make?
Yeah, very straightforward. If you're methodical with the steps, obviously your book, you know, all the steps are like it's very straightforward. And if you need to do something that's slightly different, again, you've got techniques that you can just go and play around with. But yeah, very straightforward. Take your time. There's a couple of things where you might want to not rush it, just to get a better finish on it, which I won't be doing today. I'll be rushing it.
You're going to rush it.
But yeah, it's very straightforward. So all good stuff.
Okay, and you're going to have a bit of fabric left over again.
Yes, yeah. I'm not so sure this time whether I've got enough to make everything, but certainly you could make a few of the pencil case type things, because that's just a really useful site, not just for sewing stuff, but for all sorts of stuff. Keep loads of stuff in there.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking with the whole rock, so that's obviously separate. You can see it's different fabric, so you could just make those independently. But it could be something maybe to put your pencils or your paintbrushes in, or your makeup or jewellery. It's a travel roll, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's quite substantial in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, all good. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to cut out all your pieces. Again, you've got all the measurements. You'll see me with my little labels of which is the outer and which is the just because I have no brain. The first thing that you're going to do is fuse on your wadding, which I'm not sure if you've got wadding in the no, there's no wadding in the pack, but this is H640.
Yeah.
So this is a fusible wadding, but you could quite easily use a non-fusible, so a sewing wadding, and just spray the back with 505 like we did before.
We do have the H640 if you want it. It's a metre square, you get loads of it in there. It's easy, isn't it? Because you literally iron it onto the back of your fabric, and it gives you, it stops your bag being, or your roll being floppy, because it was just two pieces of fabric, it would be.
That's quite.
But it's still easy to sew through.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I've noticed with this, it doesn't shed so much down into your machine.
Yes.
So it's a nice one to use. Okay, so you cut out your outer and your inner long pieces, and then you'll want to be rounding the corners. So again, you'll make a template. My super expensive template. Pop it on, draw around it with your, I use a friction pen because I know then if I've made any mistakes, just iron it off and it's all good. And then what I did was I folded them together and cut around the template piece as a pair, only because I think it looks nicer if you've got them matching at each end. You might, technically with a template you shouldn't go off, but you know it's going to happen, don't you? Yeah. So it's just nicer if you've had them the pair together. And again, this H640 is really easy, just a nice pair of scissors, really easy to cut through, and just round them both off so that they look nice as a pair.
Lovely.
Okay, so you set that aside just for a minute or two. And the next thing that you'll do is you'll be making that central pocket. So it's quite good that everything is made as units and then you add it all in at the end. So you could make them slightly longer if you wanted to go a bit off-piste or put them in different places. It's entirely kind of your call, really.
The bigger pocket I made to put small embroidery hoops in. But if you don't have embroidery hoops, there's no reason why you couldn't maybe put a flap over the top of that and put pens and or looser things in there, make it more secure.
That's what I put in mine with my little bit of EPP.
Oh, that's tiny.
It's tiny, yeah. Just slips in there. It's really...
No, I meant the size of your hexagons. So they're ½ inch.
Yeah.
I was going to take ages.
Yeah, my little diddly ones. So we're going for the pocket then. Again, we've got the open-ended zip, but you could quite easily not have an open-ended zip. You're going to cut it off. It's longer than you actually need. Yeah. So the first thing that you're going to do is all these 6x12 pieces, so you'll have 2 outer and 2 inner. You can either make a template for your corner, because you're cutting out 1.5 inch corners, which is really useful. I was so pleased when that was happening, because thinking about quilting, you use 1.5 inch squares and 2.5 inch squares. So I was thinking, oh yes, extra fabric, thank you very much. So you, sorry, shouldn't say that, never mind. So you'll mark it up, get your corners all lined up and do it all together. You can either, again, do it with a rotary cutter if you want to, or do it with just a nice sharp pair of scissors, because you're going through 4 lots of fabric. And as long as you're careful, you've got your 1.5 inch square pieces.
So you're saving that for EPP?
I am. or other projects. So you've got your outers and your linings. So if you separate them off, we're now going to put the zip in. So your right side of the zip is where your zipper, where your pull is. And it's just like with fabric where you're going right side to right side. You're going right side of your zip to the right side of your fabric. Again, you can baste it in if you want to. You can do whatever you like to fix the zip in. I'm going quick and easy.
Yeah,
quick and easy.
We normally have these glue sticks on the website. I'm not sure if they're in stock at the moment.
So just, I wasn't so careful this time, but I'm aiming true. So pop your, and I had a look a bit earlier on, and I just sewn over my zip in the position that I want. Does that go the other way around? Oh, right size to right size.
No, so that...
Yes, yes, you're correct. Sorry. Just checking, you know your book. Very sorry. There you are, take 2.
We're waiting for the glue pens to come back. Apparently it's on reorder, so we don't have stock at the moment.
Okay. So stick it and do 1 down, and you'll do the same on the other side. I'll just pop the zipper foot on.
I'm going to have a play with that Juki in the next hour. I had quite a moment when it arrived. Not used it before.
So I'm going to sew as close as I can. Oh, got lots of pedals. To the zip.
don't always use a zipper foot.
No, but I find with the zipper foot, you can just judge the width of the tape a bit better.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. And you'll do exactly the same on the other side. So we'll whip through these zips, providing we get it the right way around. So eventually, don't be tempted yet, but eventually you will top stitch that. So other side.
This is actually a really useful style of bag as well. It's really easy to make. So you could, after you've made your first one, adapt the sizes and make it bigger or make it longer, make it into a knitting needle bag.
Yeah, yeah. Just watch where your corners are, because you want everything to line up, because all will become apparent when you box off the corners in a little while, but just make sure that they line up. And because I've sewn over the end, I can't get quite to the end of my zip as I would normally do, but it will be fine.
If you've got any questions, by the way, or if you just want to come along and say hello to Jules, then do feel free. I'm just on Facebook at the moment. There's never anything new on Facebook. Let's have a look on the fans page. What you've been putting on there? Go to the most recent post and see what you've been up to. Oh, is there a way to sharpen your pinking shears? Apparently, Alison, I'm butting into your conversation on Sewing Street fans. If you cut through tin foil, baking foil, that's supposed to. I've not tried it actually.
I have tried it, but you have to use a decent quality baking foil.
Do you?
Yeah, because if you don't, it just wrecks it all.
Oh, okay.
You know how when you get a dent in the baking foil and it goes all weird. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Does anyone know what those cute little baskets are on the front left? Black pattern with handles. You're intrigued. Nikki, that's the early bird. £3 saving on your early bird. Oh, I should look at this one more often. Where's the quilter's pre-shrunk cotton? Debbie's, it's gone now, Claire. That's sold out. They're nice bridesmaids dresses. Sorry, I'm getting all engrossed in Sewing Street fans.
So just to make sure that when you sew this at the opposite side, so you're now sewing the lining onto the wrong side of the zip, that again, like we did before, we get it the right way up. I've got my crosses in place, so hopefully it will all work out correctly.
So you've got the zip sandwiched in between the outer and the lining pieces.
Yep, I have. And then we've got one more of the sandwich to do, and then we get on to the exciting bit. You probably will do quite a lot of this when you're bag making, but boxing corners, I really love. Little things. You know how it goes. Right, last. Oops, doodad. These glue sticks last for ages.
They're so useful, aren't they? Particularly with zips, I would at one point have pinned and then hand tacked, and then take the pins out so you're not sewing a zip over pins, and then you've got to take your tacking stitches out. And these, I mean, don't go using a Pritt stick. Don't use any kind of glue that's not been designed specifically for fabric, because it's going to gunge up your needle on your sewing machine. So always use something that's been designed for fabric.
So as I say, when you're at home, you'll take a little bit more time. You won't have sewn over the zip ends first, like I have done. I've just done it for speed, and you won't have a little bump in your run of the zip. So now what you've got is your two lining pieces on the opposite side of the zip. So when you open the zip, you see the pretty lining. And then on the other side, you've got your two outer pieces on the right side of the zip. So now you're going to sew around. So again, just like you would do on a bigger bag, you're going to sew all the pieces that aren't cut out. So this one, this one, this one, and then on your lining, so you'll have your outer pieces as a pair, which is why it was important that you kept them in line. And then you'll have your lining pieces as a pair, sewing down the outsides, across the bottom, but remember to leave your gap for turning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my sewing bit.
All right.
It was hard to show you the zip without, and then kind of prep this bit. You can't do this bit until you've done the other bit. So I'll leave the zipper foot on there, it won't matter.
I think it's quite nice to say something for yourself every now and again, though. Something that you're going to use. Nice beginners projects as well, I think, because you're going to make something that you are going to use, or that is going to be useful if you're making it as a gift for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. When I prepped this, all the secrets coming up now, I used some Christmas fabric.
Oh.
Because, well, I had surplus of Christmas fabric, and I thought, well, why not? Because then that can be a gift for me or for somebody else.
Well, you could use it as...
It's for me now.
As gift packaging, though. I'm trying to have a Christmas this year, and birthdays or anything else, where I'm not using paper, so it's everything's fabric. Because then you can reuse it, which makes it a little bit more eco-friendly, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And who doesn't like to get a package in a package?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right, nearly there. So, as I say, at home, you would spend a lot more time doing this.
You could embellish it as well if you wanted to put initials on there, maybe. Or if you did want to add a strip of lace or something to it.
Yeah.
Lace would look nice with that, actually, wouldn't it?
It would.
It's a vintage kind of looking fabric.
And then that could be something like a makeup roll or...
Yeah.
You know.
You could line it with something like a pull fabric, or something that, not too heavy, but something that's laminated so it's wiped clean. You can buy food safe laminates, can't you? So you could make a little lunchbox out of it.
Yeah. Or you've got Eau de Cote and all that kind of stuff, haven't you? So I did kind of a chain piece. So I didn't stop and cut in between times. So I'm just going to cut all of these off. You don't want rovings everywhere.
So to show you again, this is what you're going to make. And again, you can personalise it. You could add more pockets. You could put a zip pocket on there if you wanted to. But mine's got a bit squished. So this is where I keep my scrap fabric. But you could do. Over here, I've actually put a flap on the top. So if you put pencils and larger things in here, then that's going to hold it in place to stop everything slipping out, basically, when you tip that upside down. So that could be paint brushes or makeup brushes if you wanted to. Some of these have got a bit of a gusset thing going on, and those are flatter, but you can have those dividing lines wherever you want them to be. Again, this is actually sewn to the roll, so that's what the roll rolls around, but you could make as many of those independent as you like. You've got all of your instructions, so you don't have to make the whole thing up like I've done here. And this one has just got a little one-touch fastening going over there. For me, it was to hold my embroidery hoop in place, and you can put other bits and bobs in there as well. Of course, you can store your clips on there too. And the whole thing just wraps around and ties in a bow, so you're ready to go.
Okay, so now we've got to the fun part, which again, sorry, it's a bit of sewing, but we're making the boxy corners. So what you'll do is you'll take the centre corners and just pull those out, a bit like a frog. Open those out, all the way out, and then match your seams in the middle. You can pin it if you want, or this fabric is really good because it's stiff enough to hold a crease, but it's not too stiff to sew.
Yeah.
And then again, we've been using 1/4 of an inch seam. Follow your 1/4 of an inch seam and just whip across your corners, keeping everything straight and tidy. And again, that's just going all the way around the block, if you like.
Yeah.
The only one that you have to really just pay a little bit of attention to is this one. So where your zip is. So we've got the end of the zip here, and this is the plastic, because this is an open-ended zip. So this is the plastic end piece. What I've done, I'm not sure if you can see very well here, but I've sewn across here, and I'm going to clip just inside of the plastic there, so that this doesn't stay too bulky. Because then what I'm going to do is open out the lining and level that up and open the seam where the zip is. And then I'll put a little pin in there just because I'm going to do the other side and I want everything to stay in place. So just run the pin through that bit. Again, pull it from the middle, open it out, flatten it out as much as you can. Check where your zip is, open the seam so that it lines up with the teeth of the zip going down the centre. You've got everything in place there. And I'm going to take the pin out, living dangerously, and then sew them both together. And that'll make the box on the top. And when you're at home, you might want to do a double seam on that, just because it's going to take a little bit of pressure.
So this tiny little 1/2-inch English paper piecing, what are you going to make with them?
Oh, you can make your own fabric. So if you sew them all together,
you could actually make this out of it.
Yeah, you could. But yeah, that's what I quite like, and it reminds you of all the other stuff that you've done before. You know, if you had a really nice piece of, like the top fabric here, that's lovely. You want to keep that, don't you? All your bits of that. So yeah, that's what I do with that. And it's quite good, you know, when you've got the little ones, they're in the park, and you're just sitting there, and you can sew a bit while you're watching them in the park. Now I've just opened the zip a little bit as well. So again, what I did before, sewn over the end, cut the end so it's all level. And what I'll do is I'll just sew this one, and then we'll move on to the other bits. And if I've got time at the end, I'll come back to this.
Okay.
But if I'll talk you through where to position this, because there's a few elements. So again, open that seam out, line it up with your centre. And if you're not too sure about cutting zips before you've sewn a seam, wait, cut it afterwards. It's not a big hoo-ha, you know, you can decide when you do it. It's your project.
Just use a nylon zip. You don't have trouble cutting through a metal zip.
Yeah, never thought about mentioning that. Woo! It's like she said on the telly that you could do it really easy. There's so much you take for granted though, isn't there? Apologies if I am taking anything for granted, but
I think you're doing a brilliant job.
Oh, bless, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You've had lots of nice comments.
Oh, thank you everybody. That's lovely.
I've had a message from Rachel from Magnolia. Morning lady, she says, Jules is doing really well.
Oh, bless, thank you.
Do you find it easy to stand and sew?
Do you know what? I put heels on this morning. I'm not normally this tall. Because I knew that I was going to have to do that, and I thought, you know what, I can rock on my heel. So it's weird, but it's manageable. I'm probably not sewing because of that and nerves and all the other silly things, but I'm probably not sewing as straight or as accurately as you would at home, because you're going to sew much more straight than I am.
If you're at home, you'll have the sewing machine right in front of you, not at an angle so that other people can see what you're doing. And I tend to sew with my nose over the top of my work, so particularly when I want to be accurate.
Well, also, I don't, because of my age, I have my varifocals on, and when I'm at home, I don't, because I'm short-sighted, so I don't need to have glasses close to, so I would normally be naked. Only glasses wise.
You're so naked.
No, so footloose. All right, well, we've done.
You need to come in on a Sunday morning. I'll get you some kitten heels.
I'm gone as red as this fabric now. Right, so we have got our little gap at the bottom. I've gone round all of the seams, I think, now. So we're going to just turn everything through.
It's such an easy little bag, this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, yes, you make up the roll, hopefully, but you're going to make so many more of these.
Yeah.
And again, do change the size. You don't need to change the size of the cut-out corners or anything if you just want to elongate it, and you keep knitting needles in it.
The corners give you the depth to the bag, don't they? What you might want to do, which I didn't do, is just top stitch along this to stop your lining pulling up. But it's one of those things again. But yeah, that's the depth of the bag. So it's pretty decent, really. Yeah. And then all you would just do is, I've got the turning gap in there, you just slip stitch that together. So that's your first element made. It didn't take too long.
No, not at all.
And then you would get your little bit of ribbon, which I think we'll do that in the end, and tie a little knot in there, so you've got a pull.
I like that. It looks pretty, but like you say, you've got something to
practical. Practical too. So push all your corners out, and then you're going to put this in the centre of your lining piece. So your lining is already got your wadding on the back. So fold it in half, and then just mark your centre. I might just, because with the spotty fabric, it goes a bit like, your eyes go a bit doodah, don't they? So, and then you pop that centrally. And the way you can judge it is where you've got your seam in the middle, well, that's your centre. And if you line that up, you pop it down the middle. Now, the next thing that you would do is you would sew around the inside. So you get everything underneath there and sew around the inside. That you will want to take your time with. So I think for the moment, I will just pin it.
Do you know what I would do as well? I don't know if I put that in the book. I'd glue it first. With HT2 glue, the permanent glue, because then you can really kind of you're going to get the sewing machine inside there and sew around in a square, which is very easily doable. But when you've glued the bottom down, it's not going to move at all, and you're not worrying about pins on the inside.
No, and what I did was I took the corner pieces and just drew a line with the friction pen down.
Yeah, that's good.
And sewed it because I knew that I was going to go over one side and the other side. So that's that little section done. So you would at home secure it around, and I will if time permits, but I'm just conscious of talking too much.
Oh, we've got 20 minutes. We've got loads of time.
All right, so your next little... I've gone a bit BP on these, So your next...
BP? Oh, right.
If we could mention those
I thought you were talking about a petrol station.
No. Oh, yeah, sorry. No, Blue Peter, I meant. Oops. So the next section is your little hoop, embroidery hoop piece. So on this, you're going to make a pocket which has got a dart in the corner. So I'll just show you how to do that. I have finished the pocket, so that's the end result. But how you would make your little dart in the corner, so you want your 1 inch, so it doesn't have to be as deep as this one, so you want your 1 inch square on this time, and we will just do a quick draw around there. And again, I always find if I'm doing anything where there is a back and a front, it's easier to do it as a pair rather than draw around 4 times. It'd be a bit bonkers. You could make a template if you want. I think this is a bit, I did cut it at home with the rotary cutter, and it is a bit small for rotary cutters, unless you've got a small rotary cutter. I've only got a 45mm one, which was a bit too big. So I just cut it with scissors. And what you're going to do is even use those little bits. So now to make this, it's a bit like making a dart if you were doing dressmaking. You'll take the 2 outside corners and you'll fold them right side together, and then you'll sew down and to the edge. Again, 1/4 inch, just to keep you steady with all of them, everything even rather. So if I show you now, that just shows you how it comes out as a corner piece. So you'll do that to all of your edges, and then you'll have right sides together. And if I just do this, and I'll show you what I mean when you're lining it up. So if you're doing right sides together, oh, the wrong side, isn't it? You knew I was going to do that, didn't you, Debbie? You just went ahead and let me do it.
Yeah, I let you do that.
Let me do
that.
that.
I did, yeah.
Right, so showing you again how to do that. So if you go right sides together and just match in and open out your seams. And then when you're stitching around, so you'll come along here, stitch along to the seam, needle down and pivot, because you want a squared off corner, and that'll give you a nice sharp corner. And then when you're pressing, just make sure that you're pressing right into the corner and around this piece. So you'll have the two pieces together. Then you'll do a little bit of top stitching, and this is where you'll fit your button and your hook and loop. So you'll cut a little piece of ribbon, with it 6 inches I think it was. I've just attached the button to the top just for ease to show you how it goes. Take your main roll, sorry, just move that there. And then you're going to put this to the left of your main pencil case part, and you'll do it 2 inches up from the bottom. So you can decide where you want it to be. You could have it that side if you wanted to, or you can do whatever you want. But as per pattern, we'll do it here. And I've got, when I turn it through, you don't sew the bottom just yet. So you just press it as if you have made a seam. So we'll go 2 inches up from the bottom, and I think you'll sew your button flap. I think it's 3 inches from the top. Let's just have a quick look.
All your instructions in the book.
Yes, this is just a printed copy of in the book. Yeah, 3 inches from the top. Just to make it so that when you're folding it over, you've got enough room to put whatever it is that you want to put in there. So if we're going 2 inches up from the bottom, you can mark it with a line of your friction pen if you want to. And then we're going to sew all the way around. So when you sew, you're not turning anything under because you've finished everything. So you'll pin along the bottom, but I suppose you could glue.
Yeah.
That would be a good time to glue if you wanted to. And if we were clever about ourselves, we'd have it about the same distance from there.
So I'm just checking mine to see if it was the same distance. Yeah, same distance from there.
Same distance from there. Sorry.
Do you do any other kind of crafts? I know you knit, don't you?
I knit. I used to knit quite a lot, not so much now, knit and crochet, but I do tapestry. I'm just at the minute into making pictures of like different animals and scenes and things using applique, which
really?
I've got quite into just at the minute. Bags, quilts, dressmaking as well. In fact, that fabric there that you've got, which is the bird fabric, I made my daughter a pair of trousers.
Oh, it was that one?
Yeah, but it was in the navy blue, and they look lovely. And I tell you what, they wear really nicely. So yeah, all sorts of bits and bobs really. I think, you know, probably a lot of viewers out there do the same sort of thing. When you sew, you kind of just do stuff, don't you? You don't necessarily think, oh, well, today I'm going to whatever it might be. You just pick something up, or you see something and you think, oh, actually, I'm going to do that. And my sister, she's brilliant. She was by far the best sewer out of me and my sister. And she's a perfectionist, whereas I, unpick. But she was into lots of different crafts, and so I consequently copied. She's older than me. That's what you do.
That's absolutely true. I do the same.
So that was all sorts of bits and bobs, really, I suppose. But what I'm not good at is following instructions and talking at me. So 3.5 inches above the pocket, that's where we're going to put our button. And centrally, now I cheated because I already put my hook and loop on this side. So that'll be where your button fits. So all the way around that, I'm going to sew that because otherwise we've got too many pins in there, haven't we?
Okay.
So I'll sew all the way around that, and then we'll go on to the tool bit and the flap.
Lovely.
All right.
So have you made one at home, by the way? I don't know. Do you find it easy to make? What do you use it for? Maybe it's something completely different to the intention that that I imagined when I first came up with the idea. So it'd be nice to know. So do you have a I'm talking while you're sewing, sorry.
That's all right, you can, because I know where I'm going now.
do you have a coordinated sewing room?
No. I have a dining room table, and I have lots of boxes and bags, much to the annoyance of other people in the household. My secret, shan't tell anybody, but my secret thing that I really, really would like is a long arm.
Oh, would you?
However, if I had a long arm, I think I would have to evict a few people from my household. So I don't
Is that a bad thing?
Oh, well, not necessarily. But yeah, you're right. So yeah, I think it'll be a future purchase when I'm probably older and a bit greyer, and I don't know if that can happen, but... Oh, you know what I've done? Yes. Shh.
What?
We'll use the unpicker now, because I've gone over the pocket. I didn't want to do that. So what you don't want to do is this. Where you go over that bit of the pocket, you want to have this bit still out. If you see what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so you want to go that way.
Deliberately done this to show you how useful an unpicker is.
Yes.
Yep.
And you should not be doing this. Actually, do it that way around.
We do little beard trimmer unpickers. Have you seen those? I don't think we've got them in stock at the moment.
No.
Have you? Yeah, it just shaves away the stitches. They're brilliant. It's worth doing a wonky stitch just to use it.
Oh, wow. No, I've not seen that. I'd probably be a bit dangerous with that as well. Right, okay, so, sorry folks. Speed unpicking, or not. I just don't want to go through the fabric because these unpickers are really sharp.
Yeah, they do blunt though. I think you tend to use your unpicker for years and years and years and wonder why it's not effective. So I do have quite a stash. I have favourite ones as well. And my favourite unpicker, the dog's chewed the plastic end of it. I still keep using it.
I saw, actually, the other day, somebody had got some fancy handled unpickers. They were very funky. I quite like the look of those.
Was that on Sewing Street Fans?
Yeah.
We have very upmarket
viewers.
It
was very
on Sewing
upmarket.
Street, we really do.
So if you do it properly, then what will happen is you're going to seal that little turning gap. So what did she say? Quick whiz round.
Good intentions.
Good intentions. So my life is full of good intentions.
We had Adele in yesterday, and I was asking her what's her sewing nightmare was. We had some funny ones actually come through on Facebook afterwards. The biggest mistake you've ever made, or the worst thing you've ever made. I'm going to do a book on them one day.
The worst thing I've ever made?
Yeah. Mine was sewing sleeves in the wrong way around, unpicking them and then sewing them back in the wrong way
round. The wrong
round.
way round again?
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. I've had some fashion faux pas. I remember once when I was quite young, I don't know, probably about 16 or 17, I went down, at that time you could buy material from the market.
Yeah.
So I went down to the market and I got this, bee's knees, I thought. It was ivory with a gold swirl on it. Lovely weight, very nice. I came home, made a pencil skirt. Thought I was rocking. Presented it, and my mum and my grandma both went, "Why are you wearing curtains?" Only gone and bought curtain brocade, hadn't I? But I didn't know, and I thought it looked fine.
Setting a trend.
I was always in front of my time, always. It was just like complete and utter nightmare. So what you do now is pretend. Sew that onto there, and then that's your little hoop pocket finished.
Lovely.
The next pocket, moving to the right, is going to be the tool roll. So you think it's going to be quite difficult. It's actually not terribly difficult. I'm saying too difficult, otherwise if I get it wrong we'll be all what's the name, won't we? But what you'll need...
about 5 minutes left, if that's...
Okay.
No pressure.
I'm rubbish at timekeeping, aren't I? Sorry, I will try better. So what you'll do for this...
It's impossible to make all of this in an hour.
Well, it is if it's me, isn't it? So on this one, you've got 2 pieces of fabric, which you will have right sides together. It's so difficult, this pocket, you would not believe it. Right sides together, sew all the way round, leave a turning gap, turn it inside out, press it nicely, press under your opening at the bottom, top stitch the top, done. Then the placement is all the thing, I think. What you'll do then is you want about 1.25 inches, or exactly 1.25 inches as per book, 1.25 inches, and you will affix one side. Again, 2 inches up from the bottom. It's quite nice to have them all lined along.
Yeah.
So 1.25 inches, and we'll pin in there. And then, supposing you've got this sewn down, pretending, 1.25 inches from there, just so that you've got a bit of room for manoeuvre. So we'll go to here. That'll be your 1.25 inches. And it's slightly counterintuitive because you think, well, hang on a minute, what's all that about? Well, all that will be revealed. So whatever you want to be putting in there, and it's entirely your call. So if you want to put in your rotary cutter and glue stick and friction pen and seam roller, pop it in. Actually, it'd be better if I just edge that a little bit more. So pop it along and then just gauge how that's going to sit in there, where that's going to sit. So that'll be there. There's a bit of a shoulder on it, so I'll give it a little bit of ease to go into the pocket and then pin down.
So it's tailor-made to your own requirements.
And you can have loads of little pen pockets if you want. You don't have to have your rotary cutter in there if you keep that in a different special place, whatever it might be. And then, again, just follow along and do your various different pockets. Once you've done that, you've got a line of pins. And what you'll do, you need to secure this onto your base. So I'll just do 2 pockets because I think you've kind of got the idea. Take your tools out.
So Alan's put a message on Facebook saying, my sewing nightmare was sewing a V-neck top. There's a story behind Alan's V-neck top. I used to work for, or on another shopping channel years ago. And we were having a bit of a Q&A, and Alan messaged in saying he was having a problem sewing a V-neck top. So we thought we sorted him out. And the next time I went on air, I got a message from Alan saying he's still having a problem sewing his V-neck top. So we came up with some advice for him and sorted him out. And next time we went on air, I told him to just go for a round neck, Alan, for goodness sake. Forget the V-neck, it's not working. So yeah, after all these years, he's still having problems with the V-neck.
V-neck issues.
Just buy one.
Yeah. Oh, bless. Okay, so one side done, other side's being done.
my biggest challenge was sewing a set of cases for a set of drums.
Oh wow!
It took a long time to learn how to say no. I can't do that. Sorry. Oh, I'll do that for you. It took me
That's
ages,
the problem,
took me
isn't it?
weeks.
Though? People say, "Can you?" and you go, "Yeah." Before you've even actually thought whether you can or you can't, you just go, "Yep."
Yeah.
It's like.
But the fabric was really heavy canvas. It was lined with a heavy-duty fleece. The straps that went all around it were like seatbelt straps. My poor sewing machine never recovered. So I think it was after that one. No, I'm a bit busy at the moment, actually.
Yeah.
Not doing that for you, sorry.
I'm really enjoying this sewing mat, actually.
Oh,
all my
thank you very
pins are
much.
going in it. So don't put your hand along it. Safety hazard. Okay, so just on one because I know I'm a bit tardy. So it'll fit in there, but oh, hang on, goes at the bottom. So now what you'll do is you'll just sew across to seal it off down the bottom.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, because obviously this is quite a big pocket, just have a fiddle and make it pleat. So just pull it in, push it back, push it down, so that when you sew it across the bottom, you have got a nice, neat little flap. It can't be too formalised because obviously they're all going to be different sizes, but it just makes it look nice. So that's that bit. The final bit that you've got is your flap to seal, like you put 2 on there, I think you said, but your final bit is to put your flap on. So what you'll do then is, again, it's 2 pieces of fabric, obviously the pieces that you've cut specifically for this purpose, right sides together. Then you're just going to round off your corners, so get your little template again that you used for here and just round off your corners and it'll make a nice little envelope looking flap.
Yeah.
You then sew around and around your corners, trimming everything up, turn it inside out, and again what you're left with is, once you've pressed it and everything, is this with a little turning gap. Do some edge stitching around the top so it all matches and finishes it off. I quite like edge stitching to just seal everything and finish it off. Edge stitch around, and then again we've got a measurement for the placement, but it depends what you want to keep in there. So it's designed so things don't just slide forwards. So if you've got something that's quite tall, you might not want to put it so far down, whereas if you're only getting kind of pens which are a little bit shorter, you might want to put it slightly further down. It just depends on what you've used.
See, why didn't I think of explaining that in the book? Because that's such a good tip.
Oh, good.
These authors, they don't know what they're talking about.
And then again, you're sewing across there. So we've done all of the sewing. We've sewn on the button. Please pretend with me. We've done all of the sewing, sewn on the button. And then all of your messy sewing bits, trim them all up at the back. Then what you're going to do is take your outer, so this is this piece, if you will, and your darker piece on there, and then you'll go right sides together. First thing you need to remember is you want your little tying loop on the inside. So cut off, I think we said 8 inches and whatever it is in centimetres. So cut it off, find the centre, pop your ribbon there. So when you sew around, you're going to sew around and over that ribbon. But what I would do is put a pin, or again you could glue, put a pin there, but take the tail and pin it again. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because the first time I did it, I had it up there.
Oh.
Which was very nice, but it didn't work.
So out came the unpicker again.
So just make sure that you pinned it flat. And obviously this is for my outside, so I've been pre-prepping. And then what I did was I left the gap in an inconspicuous place. So you try not to leave it on the ends necessarily, or you can if you want to, but it just means that when you've turned it through, if you have gone slightly awry, because it's by now it's getting quite thick,
yeah,
then it just looks better. So so all the way around, turn it through. Imagine. So now you're going to have that on the other side. You're going to have this where it should be, coming out that way. Then what you'll do is fill it. So put whatever tools you have in there, roll it up, and just see where that end should meet. And then pop your button. So what I've done with this, I've taken the ribbon, folded it over, stitched the button to it first, because it's really fiddly. And if you don't want to fiddle, so I stitch the button to it first, and then I can place it, and then I stitch the button properly on it.
Okay.
And then whatever you've got left of this ribbon, there's enough to make a little bow.
Yeah,
little bow for.
I think that's quite sweet.
Little bow for there. Oh, and the little tab for in there. So by the time you've done it, you haven't got any ribbon left, but you've been able to do all the extra bits on there.
Fabulous. Now remember getting everything in your kit apart from the zip. You're going to need to source your own zip and your wadding. We kind of thought you might have some already. So you have your 1-touch fastening and your ribbon and a metre of fabric, and you don't have a book. So if you wanted to go for the book separately, or if you wanted to go to the book and use your own fabrics, that's entirely up to you. Now you do have a show planned, don't you? But we don't know what you're doing yet.
Yeah. Well, so what's new?
That's what we like. So we're putting you back. What date was it?
The 5th of August.
5th of August.
If that's providing Hannah said yes. But yeah.
Oh, I think she'll say yes. I think you passed.
Not passed out.
No, you can do that when you go.
Yeah.
I've had a lovely couple of hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So
I look forward to seeing
Thank you so
again
much.
Next time. We are going to go to a quick break. Then we have our final live hour this morning. I'm going to attempt to sew a couple of your challenges that you've given me earlier on. So we'll see you again in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sally Stevens. I'm from Worcestershire, a little town called Upton-upon-Severn, which is a lovely little riverside town. And not far from there, I also have a little sewing studio, so I can work and leave all my mess left out when I'm preparing projects and quilts and so on. My speciality is, in fact, quilting, patchwork and quilting, and I probably started that when I was about 14 years ago. So as I often joke, that was only 7 years ago. In fact, it was rather a lot longer. But I've always enjoyed crafting, and patchwork really hooked me, and I love it. So now then, what can I tell you? Something you may not realise about me is that although lots of you have seen me many, many times on Sewing TV and at classes, because I teach as well, I also do a lot of unpicking. So don't be afraid ever. If you have to unpick things, so do we. It's not a problem. We all have to start somewhere. And sometimes you get a bit cocky and think, oh, I can just do that without pinning or without this. And then you think, should have paid attention to my own words. So some sewing tips for you. That's one, keep a seam ripper handy. That will always be your friend. And another one that I think is very important, whether you're a beginner or more experienced, when you're sewing something, particularly for the first time, a new technique, slow down. There's no rush. It's not a race. Have a little practice with spare fabrics if you've got them before you use your best fabric that you've just purchased so that you get your techniques just right. But also slow down, take your time, watch what you're doing, think about what you're doing, and read the instructions. That's always very useful. So what can I say? I've been asked to say what my claim to fame might be, and I would have to say, in all honesty, being on Sewing Street.
Hi, I'm Rosie Wells.
My name's Poppy and I'm a nutritional therapist.
Hi, I'm Ruth Lynette and I can't wait to join you all on the brand new Gemporia Lifestyle channel.
If you're a fan of primal living, you're going to adore what's around the corner.
What is lifestyle? Lifestyle is healthy habits.
Feeling good, it's about looking great.
Making sure that we're taking good care of ourselves inside.
And it's about the life that you lead and the home that you live in,
all of this is why I'm so excited.
We've got the most wonderful team.
Homeware deals and primal deals under one roof on one channel.
I can't wait to share this brand new channel with you. So we'll see you soon on Gemporia Lifestyle.
Gemporia Lifestyle, coming soon to Freeview Channel 74 and gemporia.com.
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Hello everyone, my name's Cara Ackerman and I'm absolutely delighted to be here at Sewing Street. I actually originated from Hertfordshire, then went down to Hampshire and then it ended up in the East Midlands. I've been in the East Midlands for about 40 years now, which seems crazy, but 36 of those I actually worked with DMC Creative World, which was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed that. And then I decided to go freelance and that's how I got introduced to Sewing Street. I love doing anything to do with textiles, so embroidery, cross stitch, patchwork, done a bit of quilting, bag making, toy making, oh goodness, there's loads and loads of things. What I love doing is just trying something new, and I think one of the tips is don't be frightened of trying something new. You always learn from it, and you know, don't be scared of making mistakes either. We all learn from the mistakes that we make. Little bit about me that you might not know and that's a bit of a surprise. I once went to the garden party down at Buckingham Palace, the Queen's garden party, for some work that I did with Marie Curie. I was so lucky to go there and just a wonderful time. So I hope to see more of you on Sewing Street and I hope to try lots of new crafts with you. So see you again soon. Bye bye.
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the Watch Live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying one postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
Hello, my name's Fiona Hesford and I'm founder of Sew Girl. I'm based down in Worthing on the south coast of England. And I've got a range of sewing patterns which I've developed over the last few years, which are projects for loose-fitting clothing, everyday, simple garments, things that I really love to wear myself. And I'm going to be bringing you them to Sewing Street over the next few months. So I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Right, it's our last hour live today. There is another hour afterwards, which isn't quite so live. But this hour, we are going to be featuring, to me, a brand new sewing machine. This is a gorgeous, and it's the Juki. With the Juki sewing machine, it's about the build quality. So it's not so much about everything and all of these hundreds of stitches that you have in the alphabet and all of those. How many buttonholes do we need? It's not about that. It's about the features that the machine has, and it's about the build quality that you have with it as well. If you are sewing through thicker fabrics, no matter what kind of project you're making, if you're a quilter or you're a dressmaker. I think it's so nice to have a machine that you can have the confidence of knowing that it is not going to let you down. This is a machine that is practically future-proof, so it's something that if you are less experienced as a sewer, you're going to be able to grow with it. This is a machine for serious sewers. So if all you're going to do is to do a few alterations and put school labels in clothes, forget it. This machine is wasted on you. This is for those of you that want to make wedding dresses, that really want to make quilts, that want to make life easy as you're sewing and want to have a bespoke sewing machine with features that are unique to you. So do you want the needle to stop up or down? Do you want the machine to actually cut the thread at the end of each row of stitches automatically? You can reset that. Would you like to automatically reverse a few stitches at the end of each row? You can set so many things on the machine that are absolutely personal to you. Would you like the presser foot to automatically lift up when you finish your row of stitches? There is so much with this machine. There is no way that within the few minutes that we have for you here that I'm going to be able to take you through everything. But reliability, support. You have a 2-year warranty from Juki, and there is a helpline there as well. So they like to help you out. Now, price-wise, we have seen this price elsewhere in the UK, so this seems to be the standard price for this sewing machine. However, we have a special deal with Juki whereby you are going to receive £200 worth of extra feet and attachments. And in fact, one of those attachments that comes with the machine is to be able to change this from a high shank to a low shank, which means that if you're upgrading from a previous machine, which I think going for a machine of this kind of calibre you will be, a beginner could use this sewing machine, but I don't think you're going to spend that much on one. So I'm imagining that your old machine's going on an auction site or you're going to donate it and you're upgrading. But you might have lots of feet for that machine. 98% of the machines on the market at the moment will be able to be used with this Juki machine using the attachment to take it from a high shank to a low shank machine. So you have, feet can cost a lot of money, can't they? My ruffler foot was £54. So you may have spent an awful lot of money in the past, but you do get lots of extras feet with this anyway. So let's take a look, first of all, at the key features from your new sewing machine. Oh, look at all of these. There's loads. I shan't read them all out. We'll be here all day. But you've got automatic thread trimming, a big workspace. Now, the 120mm, that's actually 12 inches. It's a huge workspace. 2 lights for bright vision as well. Not just the bright vision, but it's calming on the eye when you have the right kind of lights. It's got a smart feed. I'll show you that in just a second. Variable foot lift function. You can lift the foot to the height that you want it to lift up to. You've got touch screen. You've got a stylus to go with that as well. Buttonholes are amazing on this machine, whether you're sewing on voile or you're sewing on wool. 351 stitch selections are built in there already, and you can see the standard feet on the right hand side of your screen that are included. That buttonhole foot is really clever as well because it plugs into a sensor in the machine, so there's no little bit, there's no guide to pull down the side like you find on even the most expensive of machines. This one sensors the size of the button when you put it in the back. So you do get, there's a lot with the machine. You expect it for that price, don't you? You expect the creme de la creme, the pièce de la resistance, or whatever the word is. You expect all of these kind of features from a top of the range, high performance sewing machine. And that's exactly what you're getting. You're not going to be disappointed with all of these. So that's what's included. And those are the main features of the machine. It's quiet, it's heavy, which gives it a sturdiness, so there's no vibration with it. The extension table is included as well, and that's really important to give support to your fabrics. We were talking about viscose fabrics yesterday, which can be very fluid and they kind of spill off the table. So the bigger the extension table you can have, I think, is the better. And it's easy to work your way around. Any sewing machine is a big investment. If you're going to buy any half-decent sewing machine or any decent sewing machine, you're talking in the hundreds, if not the thousands of pounds. So have a think about where you're going with your sewing. This is going to be probably the last sewing machine you're ever going to buy in your lifetime. I can't think of anything else you would want a machine to do. It's not an embroidery machine. That's a completely different kettle of fish. But as far as sewing machines are concerned, I can't think what are the features I would want in a machine. So at the moment, even if you're looking at machines thinking, well, yeah, that is in my price point, but do I really need all of this? you have a capability when you invest in a machine with so many features. It's a little bit like buying a camera. Very rarely would you buy a point and shoot. You're going to buy a camera at so many more features than you need. A camera where you can maybe set it on automatic or override that. A camera where you can shoot in sepia, you can put frames around things, where you've got different settings for landscape and portrait and snow scenes. You're not going to use all of those to start with, but you buy the camera with the most features you can possibly afford, because one day you may want to. It's like even your washing machine. I've got a boil wash on my washing machine. I specifically wanted a boil wash, never used it. But it's there. If I want to dye some fabric, I know that I've got it. It's got the capabilities. And I think it's the same with a sewing machine. You buy the machine, I've said this for donkey's years, you buy the machine for the sewer that you want to be, not necessarily the sewer that you are now. This has got a straight stitch plate as well. I demonstrated a straight stitch sewing machine in the States a few years ago, and I thought it was amazing. It was so quick. The stitches were so perfect. The fabric didn't get eaten into the feed dogs down the back. They were all perfectly spaced. There were no skip stitches, and you could just whiz through large items, curtain making and dresses and things like that. This has that same kind of feature built into it. Speed-wise, you're talking 1,250 stitches a minute. That's twice as fast as most domestic sewing machines. But by having the straight stitch plate, and you even have straight stitch feed dogs and the straight stitch foot, and you can use the built-in dual feed function, you get all of those features of a straight stitch machine. A straight stitch machine stitches a straight stitch. That's a lot of scissors. And that's it, that's all it'll do. So this is like a straight stitch machine that will do all of these decorative stitches and other utility stitches as well. So that's included. And they're really easy to change over. You don't even need a screwdriver to do that. Using less feed dogs when you're using a straight stitch, you don't need so many feed dogs, so many feed teeth, so there's less chance of it marking or gripping too much at the back of the fabric. It allows the fabric to speed through really, really quickly. And I got all excited when I saw that. That's an incredible feature. So in fact, let's have a look. So this is what's actually in the box when you get it home. So, the integrated walking foot, I'll show you how that works in just a second. So we've got, look at this. So that's the circle on the foot on the left hand side. You've got the extra feed teeth, as you see there, and they literally clip on and off. So your general sewing, you've got 7 feed teeth, and that gives you great gripability. Your straight stitches, you don't need so many, so it's taken some of those away. The straight stitch plate in the centre, that's the square one, has only got 1 hole for the needle. So you're not going to do decorative stitches, that's purely for straight stitches. And it's the same with the foot on the left hand side. The gap down the back is to put the dual feed function into. You can see that on the right hand side. But the circle shows you that it is only for a straight stitch. In fact, when you put the feed dogs and the plate onto the machine, it knows, and it won't let you sew anything else. Now the extra feet, the £200, you've got the adapter shank to go from high to low shank, so that you can take a, so that you can still use the feet you already have. You have a freed motion embroidery foot, open toe one for stippling. You've got the pearl and beading foot, so you can put pearls and beads and even sequins on. Creative cording foot. There's a bias binding attachment. There's a grading foot. Now grading foot does the same kind of job as a seam guide that goes into the back of your foot, but this is an actual foot with a measurement on the side of it, so you can do perfect straight lines. And you've got extra bobbins thrown in there as well. If you go elsewhere, you'll pay around about the same price. You won't get that £200 bundle. That is exclusive to us. Now, the integrated walking foot is in the back here. So you can pull it down and push it into the back of the foot. Whoops. So any of the feet that have a groove in the back of them, you'll see that when you open your box, you can use your integrated foot. And you can see the spiky bit at the bottom here. That acts when the needle goes up and down in the same way as the feed dogs do underneath. So that's why it's called even feed. So if you have lots of layers of fabric, you've got less chance of them moving or slipping against each other. So I'm thinking things like curtains. Your curtain weight of fabric is probably going to be heavier than your lining. So you can find when you're sewing long strips like that, that the fabric has slipped or moved by the time you get to the hem. This prevents that. If you're sewing through quilts, so you've got 3 layers of fabric there, same thing, it'll prevent the slippage. particularly good if you're sewing through fine fabrics, satin, silk, slippery fabrics, even oilcloth, laminated fabrics and viscose fabrics, that again the fluid fabrics. It helps to feed them through at the same rate at the top, at the bottom, so they're not going to slip around. That I think is amazing. Now I'm going to give it a bit of a challenge, because I saw Gary, who's from Juki, sewing through lots of different types of fabric. Ever the skeptic, I'm thinking, no, it's not going to work on that, is it? So let's go for something so light and sheer, something really feather light. I haven't changed the needle on this, by the way, so I'm hoping that it's all going to be fine and dandy. I put the foot down, and again, I'm just on a straight stitch at the moment. Seems all right there. Seems fine, that one. Oh, that's nice. Perfect on both sides, so you can't really tell which is the top and which is the bottom, which is always a good sign. Then I'm going to do that. So foot down there. All good so far. This may be a problem. Right, okay. Now, you expect any machine would do that, wouldn't it? You would have thought, oh, it lifts up automatically, doesn't it? Oh, your little back button on the side while you're looking there. If you weren't aware, when you're heading towards thick fabrics, a lot of machines will have these on. Stop just before you get to the thickest part and press the button in, and that locks the foot into position. So you're not heading towards the thicker part with the foot up like this, because that can cause a skipped stitch. So stop, foot down there, press that in, carry on sewing with the foot flat. When you come down the other side, that will automatically spring back out again, so you get a neater stitch. But this is what I'm thinking. So if I'm hemming a pair of jeans, it'll probably be like that, won't it? Yeah, so I'll have 3 layers. But if I've got a seam in a pair of jeans down the side, and then I want to hem it, let's do it this end where I've got a bit more fabric. In fact, let's do it with a bigger piece of fabric. So let's do 3. Let's do. Is that right? Is that a seam? That's a side seam, and then we'll do a hem as well. So that's folded over twice there. Okay, let's see how we go with this one. So I'm not changing anything, I'm not changing the stitch length or anything like that. So up to the lump. Okay, that was okay. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 layers of denim. So if I do, hang on. No, let's do that. That's 6, 7, that's 9 layers of denim. I don't believe that. I haven't woken it up yet, have I? If a machine could talk, this one would be going, bothered. So that's, again, that's... So how many have we got there? 9, 10, 12. It's not going to do this one, is it? I've got the thread caught at the back. That is actually sewn through. That has, I couldn't get any more underneath the foot. That's how thick it is. It's actually the thickness of the denim that was stopping it pulling through, not the machine that wouldn't cope with it. And again, there's a little skip stitch there, tiny skip stitch, but that's because I didn't lock the foot off as I went over it. Isn't that impressive? Now you might think, hang on, well, I'm never going to sew through 12 layers of denim. Think about it, where your belt loops are, if your belt loops come off and you want to sew it back on again, you need to put a bar tack across the bottom. That belt loop, it's on its own, will have 3 3 layers of fabric because it's folded over twice and wrapped around. And then it's folded underneath because it's tucked under. So that's 6 layers of denim just on the belt loop. If you're sewing that onto the waistband of a pair of jeans, that waistband will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of denim. So that is 11 layers of denim just to put on that belt loop. So yes, that's impressive, but that's actually going to be really useful when you're sewing through heavy fabrics like that. But I went straight from sewing a very fine voile. You could be making neck curtains, you could be making petticoats with this, straight onto sewing through 12 layers of denim without altering anything on the machine. And again, if it could speak, it'd be snoring now because I haven't even woken it up yet. That is really impressive. And in fact, we've got so many features on the machine. Well, how long have we got? I could spend the rest of the day playing with this one. Let's take a look at some of the main ones. So look, we've got industrial history with the sewing machine. So this is the technology that's behind it. As I said earlier, this isn't just a pretty face. This is a machine that is built with such high quality. So, oh, there you go. Look, sewn a flat felt seam on thick denim. The feed dogs remain horizontal during operation. Oh yes, so that's going to give you reliable stitching. Thin fabrics, not a problem at all. No stitch shrinking in thin cotton fabrics. And you can sew terry cloth, or so hard to sew things with a pylon, not a problem for this one as well. Presser foot pivot section. So you can choose actually whether you want the needle to stop in the up or the down position. And then you've got the electronic feed dog control mechanism down there as well, which is one of the new features. You can raise and lower the feed dogs from the touch panel. It is very intuitive and it is actually very simple to use, but there is so much to take in on this machine. Even with the foot pedal. I'll show you briefly. The foot pedal has 2 pedals. This one is set so that the smaller pedal goes on to reverse, I'm thinking. Yep, that goes backwards. You can set this so that it cuts the thread instead. So you plug it in, obviously, you go onto your screen and into the settings, and you can choose what that foot pedal actually does, which I think is amazing. It's a fabulous machine. Really is. Love it. And again, it's simple to use. It's got features like if you choose to use the twin needle function on here, it'll grey out all of the stitches that you can't actually use. Very much the same as it did with the straight stitch plate when I put that on. So it won't let you make a mistake. If you like, it's fabulous. Anyway, have a look at some more of our features. So this is the foot controller. So I'm moving closer to the telly so I can read. Got a large sewing area, maximum stitch length of 5. 7mm zigzag width is a nice width as well. You can do some really pretty decorative stitches using this. There's your needle typing. That's all your spec bits, look. It'll measure the amount of thread that you've got left as well, and you can choose how much thread you want to be left on your bobbin, so that you're never going to end up sewing yards and yards of fabric and then just realising you've got to do it all over again. And the thread tension setting optimised for the pattern as well, so you can override that, of course, as well. Oh, and there's that foot pedal with the independent switch as well. And you can have it to the left or the right, so you can have that wherever you like. So the little pedal, you can use it to reverse, to lock stitch, to half stitch sewing, to 1 stitch sewing, press foot raising, thread trimming, or you can just have it with no function whatsoever. That seems a little bit of a waste, really, doesn't it? I wonder if it's like on oilcloth. That's quite a thick fabric. What am I on with that one? I've done something there, haven't I? Let's take it out and have a look. I've got my dual feeds out. Is that clicked in properly? We'll try again. Oh, that's better. That's really sticky laminate. I don't really like working with stuff like this. It's really heavy. But that's normally the kind of fabric that I'd be recommending that you bought a non-stick foot for. But because you've got the dual feed in there, that's automatically helping to feed sticky fabrics like that through. I like you. I like you very much. Well, I've got a challenge to do, haven't I? faux leather webbing's done that as well. Right, now then, I've got so carried away with this, I can't remember what my challenges were. We were going to make something with a square base, weren't we? Was that Christine? So a box. So I was going to make it in calico, but we sold out of it. So I'm going to make my box in with a charm pack, but I want it to be a little bit bigger than one charm. So I'm going to join some of these together. How long have we got? Half an hour, lovely. Okay, so I'll just very quickly join some of these together so I've got enough to make the box. Oh, I could do a lining fabric as well. Right. It's ever so quick, this machine too. I love a quick sewing machine. So I'm just going to piece these together. I think I'll just use some plain fabric for the lining. So I'm not using up too much of this fancy fabric. So I need 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16 of these. And that'll make me a nice size box. So I'd plan all of these out normally, but I'm rushing a little bit because I'm very aware that I don't get things finished in time. So how many have I done? Right. So I've had lots of requests, so do keep them coming through actually, because I do bear these in mind. We may revisit some of your requests on Sunday. You know, on those days when I come into work and think I don't know what to do. Oh, Jenny's messaged in. Hi, Jen. She says, morning, Debbie and the gang. Morning, Jen. She's sat watching on the laptop in a shop. She says, it's quiet today. What have I done there? I've come undone with my thread. How's that? I've done more than that, surely. Oh, yes, they're all there. I thought I got quite carried away there. Right. Oh, right. Now then. I've not threaded this before, this will be fun. So we go around there, number 1, number 2, we go down, we go up, we go around there. That's caught on something. Ah, that's why it came undone. It's got a spool holder on that's too big for it. Well, Gary, if you're watching. Right. So that goes there. We'll have a little spool holder on there. This looks very much like any other sewing machine, really. Threading system. So that goes there. Then, oh, where's number 7? Is it up there? Does that go up there? Does it run there? Do we do that? And then should we do that? Oh, look at that. Sorry, you missed that, didn't you? That was really quick. Let me see how many of these I've got. Just got some scissors. 2, 4. So that's one side, 2 sides. 3 sides. 4 sides. I'll find some plain fabric for the bottom actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, that'll do. And then we'll need to join these together. I'm not pressing and all that kind of stuff, I just wanted to make bigger pieces of fabric. So I'll do that. And I'm going to use some foam stabiliser, which we don't have on the website, but I wanted this to be quite firm. So if you don't have any foam stabiliser, you could use H640, but you'll have a softer bag, which is fine. Box, sorry. You could use a firm interfacing, even a dressmaking interfacing will be fabulous. I'm not a fan of the very stiff stuff. I've done it again, haven't I? The thread caught again. It's an opportunity to show you how to use a thread cutter. I did all of that without any thread. to get this done. Right. Ah. Where are you? You're in there somewhere. Yeah, I just got it caught around the top of the take-up lever. That's it. Okay, here we go again. So round there, down there, up, down, round there, around the take-up lever, down the front, in here. Put the foot down. I always put the foot down before I thread the needle because then I know that the tension's engaged. That clips up there, that snips off there, and that goes down there, and that is now threaded. Oh, that's beautiful. And I wouldn't buy a sewing machine without a needle threader, but some needle threaders are easier to use than others, and that is a very easy one. Right. Let's carry on with this. So I've got 4 sides and a base. That's 1 and 2. Oh, so 2 the same there. That's not very good. I'll put that one at the back. Hi, Margot. Margot says, morning, Debbie. Morning, Margot. Oh, I've got her into sewing. Oh, jolly good. After decades of teaching. Oh, so she loves the chosen books. Thank you very much. And, oh, she's starting my beach hut storage pocket thing today. I've done it again. I have no idea why my thread keeps coming undone. Don't know what I've done. Must be user error. Because it can't be this machine, can it? I've done that. I've got it caught around there again. Right, so Sunday morning, Christine will make a box. I've just got my thread wrapped around the top of there. There's a troubleshooter in the guide, but I've left that at home. So I can't even look at what I'm doing there. Yeah, that's a bit of thread wrapped around there. Yes, so on Sunday morning, I shall make a box. We'll show you how to do a box bottom. I might even do a box with a drawstring around the top. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Could do that. And, oh, might do some applique on it as well. So do keep your suggestions coming in because we'll get round to doing them. So applique on a box with a drawstring at the top would be what we're going to do. Anyway, I'd love to stay with this machine. It's going to take a lot more than an hour to demonstrate that, isn't it? It's got so many features, it's gorgeous. But we've got lots of other things that I need to show you as well. So we have electric scissors. Now then, these actually come with a rechargeable battery, but they do plug in as well. So let's have a... Already charged up. You have the charger. You've got 2 blades, one a sharp and one a blunt, but they're both sharp. Slightly different sizes with those as well. And you've got your adapter. You've got your full instructions in here. But what you have is a really simple pair of scissors with a coated blade, which will give you a high performance quick cut without cutting through your fingers. I did try it and it's not a very nice vibration feeling, so I'm not doing it again. But basically the cutting area, if I just show that going, is only where the 2 blades meet. They're not pointy, sharp at the ends at all. So they're only going to cut kind of here, so they're a very safe one. If you've had problems with your hands before using a scissor motion, and to be honest, it's not so much the closing of the scissor, it's the opening of the scissors that I struggle with. Here, you're just pressing a button. Now, it looks like something that belongs in a toolbox. It really is a professional grade of electric scissors. I've tried them before. And you can buy cheaper ones, and I'm afraid you get what you pay for. The cheaper ones that I've tried really do struggle with heavier weights of fabric. But it's not just the heavy fabrics is the reason that I love electric scissors. If you are cutting through thick fabrics like faux leather handles, look at that, it's just munching through. So easy to cut through those. It could be something like wool, no problem. You're not actually lifting the fabric up off the bottom very much either, so you can be very accurate when you're cutting out patterns. If you're cutting through fine fabrics, now this is why I like them, because sometimes these fabrics can be a bit of a devil to cut with scissors. You can cut slowly, you can cut quickly, it really doesn't matter. The speed that these cut at is so much higher than other scissors that you'll have on the market, but this is why I like them most. If you do any kind of repurposing or upcycling, you've probably got a few things like this. I buy jeans from charity shops and I buy them in the biggest size I can possibly find, because then I've got more denim to work with. But then once you've got your jeans, you're going to need to gut them. So I like to put down the side. Any kind of hardware, I like to save that. So any kind of easy. The buttons I'll save if I can reuse those and anything like that. But this just makes cutting out a breeze. Now I know I'm only cutting through a layer of denim, but by the time I get to a stage like this with scissors, my hands are really open. But if I wanted to cut through the thicker layers again, straight through that thick seam. So I could do a little bit of fabric weaving with those. Tip is, I've found with them, don't stop. If you're going along and then you stop, it can get a little bit caught. I've found that on any electric scissors that I've ever used. So don't be fearful of them, just carry on and try not to stop. So it's incredibly powerful. The blades are key on this one. They really are super strong blades that will cut through lots of layers, which can be quite impressive. They can be quite accurate as you're cutting out patterns as well. So let's just cut out a pocket, because you don't have to rush with them. So all you're doing is literally pointing at the edge of the pattern. And like with a rotary cut, I'm not cutting towards me. Oh, well, I can cut towards me, sorry. Rotary cutters, you would never do that, but you can with these. And it's just like touching the edge of the pattern and cutting it out. You're going to be a lot more accurate than me, but I just want to show you how you can cut around patterns, cut around curves. There we go. So you can cut through your paper patterns and through your fabrics as well with those. What else we got? Oh yes, but it's the viscose fabric, which is the reason that I love it most. Like this. This is just really, it's lovely. I love viscose. I love it to wear. It can be quite challenging to work with because it spills and it slips, as you can see. So make sure it's all on the table, because those slinkers that come down the stairs like the springs, it's a bit like that when it goes off the table. It just carries on going and going and going. And when you're cutting, it can twist a little bit as well because it's quite fine. So if I'm cutting this with a pair of scissors, you've got to lift it up for a start to get hold of it. And unless you are completely flat and you've got a nice big area, you can get a little bit wobbly with them. But with your electric scissors, because all you're doing is touching it, it's not stretching, it's not distorting. You can get a really good cut without it kind of moving and twisting. So you can be very accurate with them as well. If you are, maybe you're in business, maybe you've got a web shop or a fabric shop, and you're buying your fabric on rolls. That can be difficult on your hands, can't you? If you've got 140 wide fabric, so dressmaking fabric normally comes on a roll, not on a bolt. So you've got this huge roll of fabric and you start cutting at this end and you can see it over in the distance where you're going, but by the time you've reached over there and your hands start aching. With this, you can glide through it quickly, accurately. So 2 sets of blades you're going to get with it. It's going to take a long time to get through those blades. They are super, super strong. and again, it's rechargeable. But you can plug it in. So if you wanted to, if I run out of charge here, I can actually recharge this one while I'm plugged in, so I can carry on using them. That makes sense. Hi, Rachel. Rachel says, how to cut around curves, for example, patterns. I haven't got a pattern with me, but I do have curves. It's really easy because you're only cutting at one point in the blade. So unlike with scissors where you're cutting along the blade, so if you're cutting around a curve, you're going to make lots and lots of small snips to get around the curve. These have got one point where they're cutting. So you don't have to do the snipping. Let me show you. Let me show you. So my cutting point is here. It's not the whole length of the blade. So again, if I'm cutting with scissors, I'm like long snip, and then lots of little snips to get around the curves, or I'm kind of manoeuvring the scissors at the same time as I'm cutting. But here you're just touching it. And you can go really slowly. It doesn't make any difference if you're going fast or slow. So I would normally have my nose right over the top of this to get it accurate. And just follow the line of the curve. So if you are cutting around curves, cutting out patterns, even smaller pieces, you're literally just touching the area that you want to cut. And you can nibble away at it as well to get a very accurate cut. Whoa, did go a bit wobbly there. I'm blaming working at a funny angle. But if you're worried about things like rotary cutters for their sharpness, oh, come in. Just get that last little bit in there. Don't worry about using the scissors for sharpness because these aren't actually sharp. They're not sharp on the point. I mean, they do go to a point, but it's not a sharp point. This bit isn't actually sharp here. If you do, if you really pushed your finger right in there, you'd probably be able to cut it. But if you happen to touch that by mistake, it'll carry on doing this, but all you're going to get is a nasty vibration. So they're a lot safer. And in fact, they're a lot safer than scissors when you think about it. But certainly with rotary cutters, or if you're worried about a rotary cutter slipping, then I wonder if you can, I've not used them with a ruler. Let me have a look at that. Because I'm thinking that's when you would normally use your rotary cutter, wouldn't you? Not done this? We'll have a look. So let's say I'm cutting down that line there. Let's see how accurate it can be. Just get it under there. Get it going. Not right up to the ruler. Ruler's here, so I can cut about 1/4 of an inch away from there. But if I take that into account when I'm cutting, then there's no reason we can't use that instead of your rotary cutter with your rulers. You wouldn't be able to cut through templates, and holes in the middle of things you probably could if you just made a little snip there first of all. It's a shame with this fabric to cut it like that, isn't it? Just cut a bit of like But not just fabric. You can cut your credit cards up with it if that's strong. You can cut cardboard boxes up with it. You can cut carpet with it. It'll struggle a bit on your shag pile, I think, but it will actually cut through carpet if you're if you needed to. I wouldn't buy them to cut carpet with, wouldn't you? That's PU, but it's quite thick. That's not a problem, is it? Let's have a look at this one. Oh, this is going to be a doddle. Easy peasy. For me, it's the stretch fabrics. It's the cutting up of the jeans and the things that I want to recycle. I do it with bags as well. So I'll go to charity shops and take a look at bag fastenings and closures and the hardware that's on there, and reuse and repurpose those. So if you're gutting a bag, then that's perfect. But again, going through those thicker areas, I can cut those with scissors. Need to give that a little bit of pressure to get through the end. But that is so much easier going through those thicker layers. So if you're an upcycler, these are a must-have for you. But remember, you get what you pay for. These are high-quality precision cutters. They look like they belong in a toolbox. They look professional. They are professional. They're easy to use. They're rechargeable. 2 blades are included as well. So there's the sharp and the blunt, and those are the blunt ones I was using. Was that the blunt? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the difference between the sharp and the blunt is, because they both look the same. Don't know. One's called A and one's called B, but they both look the same to me. Your instructions are all in there as well, so it's probably, I could have read that, couldn't I? They are all explained. And remember, getting 2 chargers so you can charge it up with one charger at the same time as you're using it with the other charger if you need to. Right, so that's those. We sold out of those the first time we bought them, didn't we? Completely went. Mentioned in the previous hour as well, I'm going to buy a bin for back here because I just chuck everything on the floor. And it's really not right. There you go. HT2 glue. This is something that I use a lot. Well, in fact, it's the only wet glue I use because it's really strong. If you're bag making, if you're putting frames into purses like this one, this is the glue that I use. It's incredibly strong. So even heavier handbags, if you've got a metal frame to them and they're a glue-in frame, then use this glue to glue them in. It's clear. When you put it into the frame, first of all, just leave it for a minute or so so it starts getting a little bit tacky before you put the fabric in there. And if you are making frames, if it's any bigger than that, do one section at a time. So do one half, then the other half, and then on the other side, so you're splitting it into 4. If you're adding embellishments to things like bows, this isn't going to go in the washing machine, so I don't mind gluing that on. If I wanted to put trims and lace and applique pieces on there, I could actually glue them on. Try not to get the glue onto your work surface because it will dry hard, and if you go over it with your rotary cutter, you're going to blunt your rotary cutter. You don't actually need very much, so I just drizzle a little bit on. I put it at the back of buttons, if they're decorative buttons, or if I'm using eyes on toys that children are going to play with, I'll put a little bit of my HT2 on the back of there, and it does actually dry rather quickly. If you're going to put 2 pieces of fabric together and then you try and undo them, you probably find that the fabric tears. The glue's not going to come apart. And as you can see, it actually dries. That's really thick there. It does dry very quickly. You don't need very much. Tell you what I use it for as well. Let's see how I can do this. If I've got, say I've got a little tear, let's try that. I've missed a little bit of a seam. I've got a little bit of fraying on something. So a little tear there. Then take your glue and put it in, or put it on something that you don't mind throwing away. Always put the lid back on again, it tends to spill. So make sure you put the lid on because it's a bit of a devil when it gets gunked up. And then I'll take my pin and spin it around like you're doing candy floss. So I've got the glue all over the end of the pin, you see on there. And then drag it across the gap. And then you can close it. So I only want to put the glue on the fabric, not on whatever I'm putting it onto, which is why it's on a pin, so tiny, tiny amounts. But if you've sewn a little bit further away from the seam or too close to the edge and you've got some little frayed bits, then that's just a great way of sticking them back down again. Just make sure that's not glued to the surface underneath. But if you use a pin and you just drag it along there, you don't really see the glue, it just closes it over. I tell you where that's useful. If you know, when you put in a magnetic clasp on, and I always say you've got those two little holes that you need to put the prongs through, and always cut the hole small, because you can make a small hole bigger. If you've got a big hole, you've got a big hole. If you end up with a big hole, then that's a good way of closing the fabric back again without having to worry about repositioning or starting your project all over again. So you can kind of mend the fibres back together. I'd multi-order. I buy them by the box full. I use them. I use this glue a lot. I absolutely love it because of its strength, but because of its versatility as well. I wouldn't glue anywhere that you're going to sew over because it does dry hard. But if you do sew through it, not when it's wet, obviously, it's not going to gunk up your sewing machine. It is designed for fabric, but it's. Oh, I'll tell you what else I use it for. How long have we got? Putting trim around chairs and stools that I've upholstered. So, you know, when we were saying earlier on, actually, weren't we, about you put your springs on, and then you put your horsehair equivalent, and then the sponge goes over the top, and then your calico goes over, and you're nailing or stapling all of this in. Then your fabric goes over, and then you're going to put a nice little upholstery trim, or maybe a fringe all the way around the edge. Use this glue to attach it. You can attach it really quickly, hold a few pins in there to start with. Try not to pin through the glue, because the glue will hold onto the metal from the pins and your pin will break before it comes out. But that's strong enough to actually secure the trim around upholstery as well. That could be a pelmet that you're making, maybe, that you just want to put a trim around the edge, or a tie back, maybe. Who thought you could talk about glue for so long? But I do love it. I use that a lot. That pin, by the way, is now wasted because the glue really sticks to metal. So have a special pin, have a glue pin. Don't put your glue on there and then stick it back in your pin cushion, because it will glue your pin to your pin cushion. Or just want to show you these as well while we've got time. These are the Sew Tiles Minis. We have the originals. A pack of 5. Is that those? No, they were the blue ones, weren't they? We've got some more of those. We have 2 sizes. We don't here, but we do have 2 sizes available. These are the minis. So the bigger ones are that colour green. And these are ingenious because they're little magnetic tiles. So these I would use if I was quilting instead of pinning, and instead of using little tacks or your bent safety pins or anything like that, because they're really strong and they will hold through the layers of fabric. When you come to undo them, slide them. Slide it apart, because the magnet's so strong you're going to have your nails broken if you try and prise it open that way. So give them a push to one side and then they come apart. So in areas that you can't use your wonder clips and you can't use your pins, or you don't want to pin and you can't be bothered to hand tack like with a quilt, then just use those instead. If I show you on here, I know it's not a quilt, but it is padded. So if I wanted to hold my quilt together here, that goes on one side, that goes on one side. And it holds through all of those layers. And again, when you want to take it off, slide it to one side and they simply come away again. Clever, aren't they? Those are quite new. That's another thing that we sold out of straight away when we first launched them. So this is a pack of 10 of the minis. We have a pack of 5 of the minis. And then we do have a pack of 5 of the bigger ones as well. For £12.99 for those. Clever idea. So, yeah, you'll never get them back in the packet again, though. Been a challenge today, this repacketing stuff. Right. Okay, I'm back again on Thursday. I don't know why. I've just got a random Thursday. Sunday and Monday again next week. Actually, I've got Sally Stevens with me on Thursday, haven't I? So that'll be a nice day. So do join me again then. We still have another hour of sewing coming up after this one. Thank you so much for all of your suggestions and your comments. I have taken all of those on board, even though I got a little bit carried away with the sewing machine and never quite made any of them. Shall we go on? We'll have a go on Sunday. Don't know what I'm doing on Sunday, so we'll do some of your challenges then. I may be a little bit more prepared for them. Do you want to see what we're doing tomorrow? We've got a Claudia bag with Cara Ackerman. Fabulous Fabrics featuring Moda's Regency Romance collection is at 9 o'clock. We've got a draft excluder with Cara again at 10 o'clock, and at 11 o'clock Stripology Rulers and Tools, and then the tablet case, if you didn't see that this morning, that's going to be repeated at 12 o'clock tomorrow. Anything that you've seen throughout the day today and you think, oh, fancy that, I'm going to treat myself, you can have a look on our website, which is sewingstreet.com, or you can just place your order on the phone lines, which is 0800 001 4433. And you can carry on ordering all throughout the day until midnight tonight, remember, without paying any extra postage whatsoever. So I had a lovely morning. I hope you had too. I hope you enjoyed Jules' demonstrations too. She's going to be back again on the 5th, and I shall see you again bright and early at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. Bye-bye.